song that it's so dirty sweet doing. Oh, do why don't you listen to your momsy? Oh, Stewie, you can't cook your momsen to your momsy.
Stewie, dirty doing. It's greasy, dirty doing. It's not clean doing. It's dirty.
Oh, innocent Dewey, don't you understand? That's dirty, it's dirty.
You can't cook on that. Stewie's dirty doing. It's greasy, grimy, gluey. It's not clean doing. It's dirty. We listen to your mumsy.
D, listen to your momsy.
Stewie's dirty doing. It's greasy, grimy, gluey. It's not clean doing. It's dirty. We listen to your mumsy. We listen to your mumsy.
Life by Jen was a terrible alarm. Wiping her cheeks was mighty hard, but she had the help of a drunkard dart, and his name was Gene. Life by Jen blew a bunghole out. Snots and Crisco shot out her snout. The first responders sure did pop when they saw that double R. Life by Jen loved her cheese. She didn't know her innards would seize. She always did what she pleased. Now her bunghole is blown out. Life by Jen blew her bunghole out. Snots and Crisco shot out her snout. The first responders sure did pop when they saw that double R. Life by Jen covered the coroner's slab with grease and chunks and slimy flap. Her head was bright red like a crab. She blew her bunghole out. Life by Jen blew her bunghole out. Snots and Crisco shot out her snout. The first responders sure did pop when they saw that double R. Gene went back under his bridge to one day find another smelly fat bitch. Now he sells his cheeks full of booze. One day his bunghole be blown out. Life by Jen blew her bunghole out. Snots and Crisco shot out her snout. The first responders sure did pop when they saw that double R. Janet, get the Cool Whip, 'cause I gotta get my dick sucked. Janet, get the Cool Whip and give my pegger a tub. Open up, bitch! Oh, Janet, when I see that Cool Whip, I think of you chomping down on my meat. You're sucking my dick in the summer heat, but it's not so hot 'cause the whip is cool. Janet, get the Cool Whip, 'cause I gotta get my dick sucked. Janet, get the Cool Whip and give my pegger a tub. Let's see what that mouth do, Janet. I said, let's see what that mouth do. I'm gonna fill that dome with my scrotal goo. Janet, get it, get the Cool Whip, 'cause I gotta get my dick sucked. Janet, get the Cool Whip and give my pegger a tub. Oh, Janet, I don't care about your kid. I'm gonna arc a load all over your tits. Is he darted or something? Let's see what that mouth do. Janet, Janet, get the Cool Whip, 'cause I gotta get my dick shut. Janet, get the Cool Whip and give my pecker a tug. Janet, Janet, get the Cool Whip, 'cause I gotta get my dick shut. Janet, get the Cool Whip and give my pecker a tug.
Hey everybody, this is Chatham Bob working. I figured, as bored, it's Monday, sitting here, fucking heartburn. Like I might as well be streaming something stupid if I'm going to sit here with heartburn. Guys, we're going to watch Sightings. Now, I looked, there's no copyright notice, so I think we'll be all right. Because no one cares about this stupid show. No one cares about fucking Sightings. Does it even show on TV anymore? Whatever. We'll find out. I'm sure they'll just shut the stream down or something. If that's the case, we'll go to like Odyssey or something. But we'll see if it works. No one cares about Sightings, right? Who the fuck gives a shit? We'll find out. Guys, the first episode of Sightings.
Night on Sightings, Stonehenge, the pyramids, the
Oh,
Bermuda Triangle.
so
Do
spooky.
these places possess deadly mystical powers?
No?
Once you experience it, you have a lot of respect for it.
I don't trust that bitch at all.
Are these unexplainable phenomena proof of a greater force?
They're somehow produced by the Earth itself.
The chain
Or
is up.
are they a result of extraterrestrial contact?
It seems strange.
The Life by Jen song, I was laughing at it. And then I started feeling bad. I'm like, oh, it's a dead person, dude. And then I started laughing that I was feeling bad at it.
The huge markings were made on the earth.
It was a roller coaster ride of emotions for that Jen song.
Started to appear.
They had
Oh,
large,
shit.
dark eyes, claw-like hands.
I'm spooked.
I began sensing and knowing and feeling.
I do believe in life after death. I mean, I've been
I
there.
hope we see Elvis.
We have not scratched the surface of what the mind can do.
Everyone you will see on this show is a Fed.
It's a connection with the unknown.
I'm spooked.
What is the purpose of
Yeah.
immense stones carefully arranged on an English country plain?
Oh, they're probably
Why
drunk.
are there earthen
You ever see those
mounds
motherfuckers drink?
in the southeastern United States? Who built great granite pyramids in the jungles of Central America?
Hanford.
How these places were created remains a mystery. But perhaps the greater mystery is why these places continue to fascinate us on such a profound level. The great forces of the earth.
Oh,
Some are
shit.
familiar and essential, such as the force of gravity or the dramatic
He's
forces
a,
of
he's a
nature.
Fed.
But then there
Imagine that guy, the host for this show. He's, he probably got some local news job. He's like, yep, it's all up here, all uphill from here. Or all uphill. Like, as in, he's going to move up the ladder. And then he's doing sightings.
are dark,
He did it for 4 years and you never
mysterious
seen him again.
forces, feared and revered by ancient cultures. Strange energies that science is still at a loss to explain. The forces of the earth are full of bizarre quirks that can cause destruction, even death.
Yep. Where's the ghost?
25 degrees north latitude, 70 degrees west longitude, the center of one of the most mysterious places on Earth, a so-called energy vortex of
Oh,
destruction.
shit.
It's called the Bermuda Triangle. For 500
Energy vortex
years,
right above
since
Chris B's house.
Christopher Columbus first wrote about seeing weird phenomena here, more than 1,000 ships and planes have disappeared without a trace.
We have no evidence whatsoever that makes
Oh, of course you would say that. Mm-hmm.
the region described as a Bermuda Triangle any more dangerous than any other set of waters in the
Sure,
world.
buddy. Why don't you tell us the real stuff?
But that wasn't the case for Flight 19. December 5th, 1945, 2 p.m. 5 Navy Avenger bombers leave Fort Lauderdale, Florida on a
Get me
routine training
trending.
mission.
That's the last thing I need.
Pilots and crew are all experienced airmen. The day is clear and mild. But at 4 p.m., the Avengers begin sending out distress calls. Then, abruptly, the SOS calls stop. The crewmen are
That's
never
good.
heard from again. This missing squadron, known as Flight 19, becomes
Where
one
did
of
they
the
go?
greatest air mysteries of all time. 5 planes and
Spoiler, they crashed in the ocean.
13 airmen vanish in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, in the ocean. Hey, the ocean's a really big place.
Did a sudden change in weather cause the disappearance of Flight 19? Did they run into a bizarre geomagnetic force field? Or was it pilot error? But pilot error in all 5 planes at the same time? Virtually impossible.
I didn't have the fashion
Many
sense.
theories have been proposed since 1945. The planes were abducted by UFOs, sucked into a parallel universe, or even fell victim to death rays from Atlantis.
Or crashed in the ocean.
45 years later, a startling development. In August
Whoa.
1991, a barnacle-encrusted Navy Avenger was recovered from the treacherous Bermuda Triangle.
Hey, you guys laugh at me about the Fed shit, but then we looked up that one bitch and her dad was like had some giant political position.
To the fate of Flight 19.
Didn't you guys watch that gay ass Y-File show or whatever with that guy and that stupid fucking fish? You know what I'm talking about? That guy, he brought up that bitch that we found out was the Fed on one of those, and she's like, "Oh, she's totally legit." I'm like, "Oh man, okay, dude."
When this Avenger broke the
You're full of
surface
shit.
The ocean, it was the most spectacular.
You know
thing
what I'm
I've ever
talking
seen
about?
In my life. It was like bringing a body out of the ocean. The mystery.
He brought up
still
that old
lingers.
bag, how reputable I guess she was.
We're still working on it today.
A group
Has to be a
called
death ray.
Project 19 is dedicated to solving the mystery. But retrieving the Navy plane also means they must work in
Yeah.
the deadly Bermuda Triangle.
There are forces out there.
Yeah, he's
there
awful.
is a sense of energy about you all the time.
I don't like mainstream like conspiracy stuff. Like if you're gonna sell me a conspiracy, sell it. Like I hate the stuff where it's like, oh, did this happen? Did this happen? Wait a minute, no, none of this happened. I was like, then why'd you waste my fucking time? I want people to believe in their bullshit.
Oh, what's going to happen out there?
And as the
Don't
recovery
give me this
team
long ass story just to shoot it
works
down.
to determine if this Avenger was part of Flight 19, other sailors and pilots who dare to venture into the Bermuda Triangle continue to be plagued by the frightening phenomenon.
Maybe
I took
we're all
controls
fed.
of the PBY about 2 hours out of Bermuda, and it really was a beautiful day.
Suddenly,
It was
as I say, we could not see the wingtips of the
It was
airplane.
like flying in
We
a
were just
tube
flying.
going through this stuff, and
This
it
is
never
boring.
dawned on me I was in the Bermuda Triangle.
On June 11th, 1986, Martin Caden and his wife Dee Dee were part of a flight commemorating the history
Oh.
of a PBY flying boat
Did they disappear?
called the Catalina. The Cadens are both seasoned pilots with over 50 years of experience between them. On June 11th,
Well, I bet you the
Dee Dee
ones with Leonard Nimoy are probably
was at the
copyrighted.
controls.
No one cared. Like Sightings was known as a shit show at the time.
Suddenly, all the plane's instruments stopped functioning.
The magnetic compass was spinning. It was totally useless. We had nothing from the
You could believe-
outside
you
world.
could believe D.D. Caden.
We were in limbo.
We believe there was a tremendous
Totally trustworthy guy right there. I'd believe anything that man said.
electromagnetic effect. We don't know for sure. But we had $2 million worth of the world's finest electronic instruments
Pickles.
just completely crap out on us.
Outside the
Crap
window of
out
the
on
plane,
us.
it looked like you were flying an eggnog. It looked like flying through, like in a lemon meringue pie.
You lose all reference to what's right, what's left, what's up, what's down, and many airplanes go into an uncontrolled spin. And
What
just
happened
let
to that? Bermuda Triangle sure has been quiet lately, huh? Ever since the 90s.
Skies
Ever
smash
since cell phone cameras came out, everything's been kind of quiet, you know?
the ocean.
It was very sudden when we came out of it. And it was about an hour, maybe an hour and a half out of Jacksonville that it cleared up.
And little by little, all the instruments began to come back online. The gyros stopped spinning, the magnetic compass settled down, and all the electronic devices came back in and were working perfectly.
Martin and Dee Dee Caden survived because of sheer luck. Perhaps, like the Cadens, Flight 19's instruments failed, but the pilot's luck ran out. If
I hate
that's true,
Bermuda Triangle.
then what
It's
is
the most
source
boring
of a force
conspiracy or whatever you want to think
powerful
of it
enough
as.
to make technology useless?
It's hard for science to go out there and die.
Shut up, bitch. She got the Bermuda Triangle Funko Pop set.
Document it and dissect it because it doesn't happen all the time. But boy, once you experience it, you
You don't
want to
get lost in the Bermuda Triangle, Captain Ron?
It's dangerous.
We feel the unpredictable forces of the Earth in the
the
violent
Bermuda
eruption
Triangle.
of a volcano or a sudden high-magnitude earthquake. These events remind us of the tremendous energy smoldering just beneath our feet. Might this energy build to to such an intensity that it could transform the entire Earth.
What if you went down in the bottom of the ocean? There was just a bunch of other ghosts. Like, hey,
It's
you got the
2
same
p.m. in
idea.
Los Angeles, and you're stuck on the freeway. Just outside Omaha, it's 4 p.m., and you're finishing up the day's farm work.
Oh,
It's 5
shit.
p.m. in New York City, and you're on your way home. Then, at exactly the same instant in time,
Uh-oh.
everyone in the United States, everyone on the planet, shares one fatal experience, an unspeakable catastrophe.
Oh, when can this happen?
May 5th,
Come
in
on.
the year 2000, the entire Earth turns on its side.
On 5/5/2000,
Sleepy
should
planet.
the polar
So
ice
sleepy,
cap
so
go
tired.
in motion, the first thing that will happen will be tremendous earthquakes worldwide. Gigantic, 8, 9, 10 on the Richter scale.
And you could watch me wrestle at the firehouse tonight.
And at the same time,
I'm up against Stinky Pete for the
volcanic
Mississippi
activity
title.
erupting around the seismic regions of the Earth.
Mexicans in America.
And the wind, as the Earth shifts, will rage wildly trying to seek a new equilibrium so that wind speeds of 200-300 miles an hour will literally
I think you'll beat
destroy
Stinky Pete.
most dwellings on the surface.
Is it possible for the Earth to turn on its side? Could Los Angeles become
Sure, why
the new
not?
South Pole? Yes, says author Richard Noon. His
Well, who the
research
hell's Richard Noon?
indicates that a polar shift is not just possible, it's inevitable, caused by a massive accumulation of ice at the South Pole, a theory introduced in part by Albert Einstein.
Einstein found that the weight of the ice,
Einstein.
the mass, it could be stone,
Bracket,
ice,
bracket,
truck cars,
bracket.
whatever, it takes approximately 1,700 pounds of pressure per square inch to fracture the rock, most of it's sedimentary
He's right.
rock in Antarctica anyway. As the ice increases in height and size, the weight of it
I hope he
is
still has the sweet mullet.
beyond human comprehension. And it depresses the ground under the ice. The ground under the ice, in turn, squeezes out the plastic viscous molten material underneath.
His finishing
And
move
that
is the noon salt.
Viscous molten material has to go somewhere, and it moves through the Earth's fault lines, and this creates more earthquake and volcanic activity, which is what you see today.
Many highly active volcanoes have erupted since Mount St. Helens in 1980.
Oh,
and
shit.
in a recent
We're
one-month
doomed.
period, 5 earthquakes of a 6.5.
You know what sightings I hated when there was psychics? 'Cause I remember being a little kid. I'm like, well, they're just psychics. They can say whatever they want. you don't have to back any of that shit up.
Shifted the Earth worldwide.
We're in the middle of an environmental collapse. A shift of the crust of the Earth takes approximately 3 days to complete, and with it, the destruction of most places on Earth.
It's a rare audio from the Bermuda Triangle. I think I can. I think. Hold on. Hold on.
Everything
Let's see if I
that
can
we
find
now
it.
take for granted could violently disappear. The skyscrapers of Los Angeles, gone. The Golden Gate Bridge, twisted wreckage covered in ice. The Washington Monument, a mass of rubble.
Let's see if I can
This
find
is
the leak
just
to
one man's theory,
Bermuda.
but the buildup of ice at the poles is one fact in Noon's theory confirmed by some geologists.
Presently, ice does build up at the South Pole, but it doesn't build up arbitrarily high because
What was it? This punk rock? That was the
Earth's
leaked
crust is
audio.
plastic, and it warps down as a consequence of the weight of the new snow and ice that's being piled up. So
You know, I totally wasn't thinking about that. I haven't thought
reality-
about that since Friday, and here we are.
the whole depth of the ice cap doesn't get all that much bigger than it is right now.
And what about the greenhouse effect? Haven't aerosol cans and industrial
gonna be
pollution
ready.
created a hole in the ozone layer that's warming the Earth and melting polar ice?
What happens is, at least early on, in a
What's
warming
delicious?
situation on the Earth,
Can you play the rare audio from the Bermuda Triangle, please?
I wish I had it on a hotkey. I have to look it up every time.
the natural convection currents in the atmosphere itself carry that warm
I
moist
need notes. Put that on a hotkey.
air to the poles where the moisture condenses and falls as snow.
Geology, the publication of the Geological Society of America, has recently published research that adds some substance to Noon's theory. But the idea of a radical, instantaneous polar shift is still considered extremely controversial.
I think it's real too.
The theory that's proposed here is that the entire crust slides around catastrophically.
This is a terrible first
There's really
episode.
no
I want
geologic
ghosts.
evidence. There's no
I
any
want
kind of
spooky
climatic,
ghosts.
Geochemical, geophysical evidence that shows that that's even possible.
The supposed trigger for this global nightmare will be a
Oh,
rare
I think James Hogan just liked mouths. Maybe in his mouth.
alignment of all 9 planets on May 5th.
Maybe him watching Janet go to work on Rivard gave him a mouth thing. Gave him a mouth fetish.
2000, just 8 years from now. Noon believes this will be the fatal gravitational yank on the planet. A preposterous theory? Perhaps. But just remember, only 40 years ago, no one believed the universe began with a big bang.
No.
Today, it's
Bull
scientific
crap.
fact.
No, it's not. That ain't scientific fact. Get out of here with that shit. Were you there, cocksucker?
Coming up,
Thank you.
a woman who claims to have witnessed unexplainable natural phenomena.
I saw this beautiful ball
It was
of
Bobson.
light in the sky.
Certain sites fascinate us because we don't know who created them or even why they're there. And then there are even more.
No, I got to milk this shit, dude. We got 95 episodes to watch. Of course, we're not watching them all tonight. But we're gonna stretch this. We're gonna stretch the
enigmatic
sightings
places
out to the
where
bitter end.
strange phenomena are believed to reveal themselves again and again.
Massive prehistoric stone monuments. Many people experience a strange feeling
Oh,
of
some smelly
fascination
hippie built
at
that in the
these sites.
60s. You know, it's the fucking Stonehenge. They like found that shit in the 50s, and they're like, "Oh, we'll rebuild it." Oh, we think that's what it looks like.
It may be
Get
the
out of
same
here!
type of
Everything's
feeling
fake.
That inspired the
Where's my
ancients to
fake
create
bell?
them in the first place. When visitors have
They
strange
found that shit in the dirt in like the 50s.
feelings, some scientists believe they could be a real physical reaction to unusually high levels of radiation or electromagnetism emanating from the Earth.
These places have been
A big
deliberately
brap.
placed in these locations of great
I believe it.
natural power and energy, and that all the stone circles in England and Wales that we've closely checked all occur either immediately.
They never tell you
alongside
that.
a
They never
geological
tell you that they
fault
just
line,
found it buried in some field, and they're like, "Oh, we'll just put it back together." That's definitely what it looked like.
or in very close proximity. And we find this sort of pattern throughout the world where we've been able to
It's American Wienerton.
check it. And it tells us that people did choose specific areas of the Earth's surface because they had certain energetic
was aliens.
properties about them.
Paul Devereaux is a researcher in the field of
Whoa, he's like
open
Indiana
space.
Jones.
He investigates the secret
If it was
energies
if
present
it was really lame.
at ancient sites, like this bizarre collection of immense stones known as the Avebury Henge, erected 4,000 years ago. For the last 10 years,
Unsolved
there have
mysteries
been
way
many
scarier than sightings.
reports of unusual lights hovering overhead. They're clearly not UFOs, but frightening apparitions created
I'd
right
believe
here
it.
on Earth.
It was just a self-beard.
Lifelong Avebury resident Heather Garland came face to face with the lights on a clear night in 1987.
I saw this beautiful ball of light in the sky. And I thought, oh, lovely full moon, because I love the full moon and starry night. And I watched
You
it
were
and I thought,
drunk.
oh, no, ye gods, it's not the full moon. The moon comes in the opposite direction. When it got to the stones, it turned and started coming towards me. And with that, it came right down to the grass and just went out.
These lights, nobody knows what they are. They're rather
Cool,
exotic
cool story, I guess.
phenomena. They're not UFOs. They're not
It
flying
was just a light off the beer bottle being thrown at her head. The beer bottle being launched at her head was catching the light.
sources. They're somehow produced by the Earth itself. I call them Earth lights.
Near the seaside town of Penzance in southwest England,
Sister.
a mysterious light phenomenon has been seen at this 3,000-year-old subterranean chamber known as the Bole Fugu. It continues to
Oh, the
mystify
Bole Fugu.
visitors. Joe May is a teacher in Penzance and spent a night in the dark underground cavern in June 1988.
Just before the point of dawn, I was awake and I thought I could
Some British
see...
guy's like, "Hey, it's my fucking house, you jerk. Get out before I run you through."
The spiraling movements is the only way I could describe them. A sort of soup of spirals swirling around. And they were very like the...
Benny
the
Hill
shapes
comes on
on
5
Gypsy
minutes. In
Fingers.
5 minutes, get out of my house.
They suddenly exploded into stars. There were lots of little pinpricks of light in with them, flowing around.
Those spooky time life books are
Swirling
fucking great.
carvings found in primitive dwellings around the world bear an uncanny resemblance to the site Joe May describes. Could that mean that people saw these same lights 3,000 years ago?
No.
Another resident of Penzance, artist Gabrielle Hawkes, is drawn to the Bole Fugu by its mysterious energy.
It happened some years ago when I was camping in the grounds here. I came into the Fugu. It was dark and damp and mysterious as usual. I kind of began to lose myself in a way, so a feeling of timelessness for a few seconds. And then
I like that
quite
hair.
suddenly, it was as though
It's
a
the bowl and the bigger bowl cut.
scene unfolded in front of me. It consisted of
Don't scare Gabe.
a scene in bright daylight of a
I had a
church
bunch of those, but I don't think I ever had the whole set. Like I had like most of them.
and a churchyard.
Never got them all.
I remember
I
the
was
colours
pissed.
were very bright. In some ways, it was like a dream, but at the same time, I was very much awake. I was aware of standing there.
Fuguadal?
Well, this is
Fuganal?
the odd. You know, what is going on?
Would.
Do these strange earth energies explain why ancient peoples selected these locations for their monuments? Perhaps we are, in the late 20th century, beginning to understand scientifically what our ancestors understood intuitively
Nah, it's
about
all
the
crap,
potent
dude.
energies of the earth.
It's all crap.
Coming up.
You think they ever tell us the real shit? No.
And markings a result
They
of
tell us a bunch of fake shit, then laugh at us behind our back.
extraterrestrial contact.
No one knows
Oh.
exactly what intelligence was being.
You can abduct me any day. Oh, Garm, our love is being separated by this TV screen. Poor little guy. She just wanted to give Garm a smoot.
Behind it.
The surface of the Earth covers 196,800,000 square miles. And even though every square mile has been mapped and scrutinized, there are still places of mystery that defy explanation.
You know what's funny? I remember this guy being like old, like an old dude. He's like 32.
Has been
Remember this guy
mapped
being
and
like an old dude,
scrutinized.
old crusty
There are
dude.
still places of mystery that defy explanation.
I'm 28 years old.
The ancient Nazca Indians of Peru covered their arid landscape with enormous, precise drawings carved into the rocky desert floor.
Someone had to have
Photographer
carved a
Marilyn
wiener.
Bridges came here in 1976. That first journey to Nazca changed her life forever. She's driven by her need to understand.
Oh, you know he hates. You know, someone brings up the show to him. He's like, ah,
what
just
drove
walks
the
away.
ancient Nazcas to create these designs 2,000 years ago.
I feel like I've had a calling in a way. I did photography from the ground for a long time, and when I was in Peru, I heard about these lines of Nazca markings that were so huge
That's a wiener.
that you could only see them from the air. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I gave myself this mission to photograph these and bring them back and share them with people. To say, look, this is what ancient
Had to be
man
for
was
aliens.
doing with the land. Maybe something can be deciphered.
Perhaps most puzzling
Couldn't
of
be
all,
the people in power making just the regular people do stupid shit. That never happens.
why are the hundreds of designs here
Go
so
make a giant
enormous?
design, idiots,
There are animal figures more than 400
and go
feet
kill your
long.
firstborn kids.
Some
I'm
patterns
bored.
extend for over a half mile. Since the Nazca couldn't fly, who were they trying to reach out to with
Hanford.
these huge designs?
I'm looking at a lot of these markings and structures as if a god would look at them.
Drawings for the eyes of the gods is just
You can't
one
blame her, dude. It was easy money back in those days.
theory.
It's just
Others
hot
believe
dog
the
cat.
designs formed an astronomical calendar. But because of their size, some believe these markings were actually UFO landing strips.
It seems strange that about 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, so many huge markings were made on the Earth, whether they were dug into the Earth or,
Look at that.
or raised from the Earth.
Peru isn't the only place Marilyn Bridges has found huge landmarks visible only from the air. For 20 years, she has tried to capture on film
Man, this is
the
a
images
shitty
that
episode.
ancient cultures have left behind.
Good
It
thing
is
they're
for
only
her
20 minutes
an
long.
obsession with
This one's
deciphering the
almost over.
messages of the past. In this pursuit, she routinely risks her life, working from dangerously low altitudes.
My flying is almost aerobatic. We have to slow the plane
Poor
down.
little guy and his little Johnson.
Stall speed.
His little Johnson memorialized forever. He was the guy with the smallest Johnson, and they said, hey, make a giant painting, or whatever the hell you call it. A giant engraving into that hill of the guy with the smallest wiener, so we never forget him.
Sometimes we even go into a stall.
Stalling a plane at an
Remembered for
altitude of only
thousands of
200
years.
feet reveals more than just an intellectual curiosity. It's an irresistible
They need
to
landing marks.
understand what ancient people had an irresistible need to create.
There's a point that it strikes inside of people that maybe it takes them back in time to their heritage, to where we've all come from.
Sure, lady, whatever you say.
Coming up, what
Tell me about
mystical
your book.
powers are hidden beneath the Black Hills?
Our legends tell
Who
us
you
that the
calling
Black
a
Hills
hills?
is the heart of our home, the home of our heart.
The
For
Tonka.
the Lakota Indians, the entire earth is revered.
It's an open-air toilet.
But only one place is truly sacred. They believe the Black Hills of South Dakota are the spiritual heart of the planet.
As I have learned about the Black Hills from other tribes scattered throughout this land, throughout America, or
Sure,
what
buddy.
we call the Turtle
Have another
Island.
drink.
What they understand also is that is a
Sure,
center.
dude.
The Black Hills are a center.
Modern culture has also been drawn to the Black Hills, but for reasons that are far from spiritual. Gold and uranium are mined here, and over 50 million visitors have marveled at its man-made wonders.
The Black Hills booms like a heartbeat. We say it's the heartbeat of the earth. Once mining
No one's ever said that, by the way.
started heavily in the 1880s, coinciding with the time that we were forbidden to practice.
Indians had to do wacky shit before the whole casino thing, you know? Like, yeah, I guess we'll do the sightings. Now they won't return sightings as calls. They're like, go away.
Our religion.
I got free money.
That booming got further and further and further apart.
We're not
Mystical
with
Earth?
respect
What
to this-
gives a
this
fuck?
entity,
I want casino money.
this earth, to this mother.
Dances with whiskey.
We say that if the heart cannot live, the earth can't live. And we believe that protecting the Black Hills has to do with all life, all of the children of the earth. When the Black Hills dies, the earth will die.
A startling photograph.
I bet you're wrong. I bet you could totally blow up and level the Black Hills and the whole Earth would be just fine.
Taken from space, a God's eye view, so to speak, may prove the Lakota warning is right. The Black Hills are shaped like a human heart. Primitive cultures and religions worship the earth and
You guys just called you a primitive.
man's connection to it. Perhaps by studying their mysterious monuments and seeking an understanding of Earth's unexplained forces, we'll rediscover our own connection to the planet. The distant past may be the key to protecting our immediate future. For Sightings, I'm Tim White. Good night.
Oh, Temford.
Tomorrow night, for the first time ever, you'll see recordings of convicted mobster John Gotti's secret mafia initiation ceremony.
Oh, shit,
taped
secret.
by the FBI. Hear the never-before-told story of the last Godfather. The John Gotti story, a one-hour special tomorrow after Cops. Now, stay tuned for Hidden Video.
Nah, it came on like 11 o'clock on a Saturday. That's how I remember it. It came on late on a Saturday. No, it wasn't like on prime time or anything. I remember they would have the Indians come to our like school and like do little presentations and stuff, and I'm like, these are white guys. They look like Italian dudes. Like, you know, like imagine like an Italian guy with like a Super Mario like mustache dancing around going, oh yeah, like that's the guy who makes the pizzas down the road. Not a fucking Indian. They're all white dudes. Oh, Winkler.
The following program deals with a controversial subject. The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation. The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information.
Is it a Mexican Slim Good Body?
On Sightings, has this team of investigators captured proof of UFOs on
Oh
videotape?
shit, finally.
I'm a pure skeptic, and to see what I just saw,
That's Booger.
I can't be skeptical.
do the latest cases of abduction reveal frightening alien
fuck.
motives?
Women begin to experience the gynecological examinations done by the aliens on them.
And could our own astronauts face deadly
Hands off my snatch, aliens!
encounters with alien forces?
Something is out there, and what it is, I don't know.
I'm spooked.
It started to appear.
Man, that first episode sucked dick.
Eyes, claw-like hands.
I began sensing and knowing and feeling.
I do believe in life after death. I mean, I've been there.
We have
She's
not
been there,
scratched
guys.
the surface of what the mind can do.
It's a connection with the unknown.
Sounds like King of Fighter music. Sounds like a bad Neo Geo music.
Hello, I'm Tim White. Tonight
Tim
on
Burr.
Sightings, people who claim to have had personal contact with aliens. They tell bizarre stories of abduction, and they suggest their captors have sinister motives. Most UFO encounters are easily debunked by experts, but there are still many
Get
sightings that cannot be explained, even by the most skeptical researchers. UFOs, they've been sighted in every corner of the Earth. Witnesses have captured strange lights and disc-shaped objects on film and video, but even before
I always
the
thought it
age
was
of
dumb, like they just assume it's aliens. Like, I mean, can it be some like government test shit? I believe government test shit over aliens.
technology,
How do you just
people
jump
worldwide are
aliens?
reporting UFOs.
The UFO subject goes back at least 6,000 to 8,000 years in human history. People have many times pointed to the Christian Bible and the old first 5 books of the Jewish Torah as being examples throughout history of UFO contacts. But what we're seeing today is considered
We're all
by many
spooked.
to be examples of superior technology from somewhere else.
Yeah, the government's gonna probe your butt too. You don't think the government's gonna grab you out of bed and probe your butt?
Probably another planet.
Some places
That's the guy who had to lift his sack 500 times.
become legendary as UFO hotspots. Gulf Breeze, Florida, Roswell, New Mexico. Sightings in these out-of-the-way locations number in the thousands. The next hotspot? According to world-renowned UFO researcher Peter Gutella, this town, Anza, California,
I think they come from Melmac.
has all the earmarks of an extraterrestrial mecca.
I was captured by aliens and I woke up to this.
And we have animal mutilations, we have abductions, we have close encounters of all degrees.
Yeah, it's goofy shit.
We've had the appearance of
Or it's
mysterious
just some fucking hillbilly looking for attention. That's what a lot of it. A lot of it was just some bored hillbilly. Maybe I get attention for myself.
animals. And we've even had some of the so-called Men in Black
Dimensional
experiences
sniffers.
there.
Whoa!
At a local coffee shop, people were willing to share bizarre stories of their UFO encounters.
Kind of. I mean, that's the feeling I get like
They revealed that they believe that the Men in Black are
Oh,
actually
I'd abduct her.
extraterrestrials sighted in deserted areas near the town. Each story is strange.
Come on. I have to. There he is, the happiest alien. The alien just got. He's coming out of the screen.
than the last.
And I happened to look through the trees, and I saw this vehicle standing about just...
And then they grabbed my vagina, and they started moving the lips and making it say stuff I wasn't saying.
still just about 60 feet off of the ground.
They were making it
It's
talk
like
and mocking
a
me.
flying saucer. It had a dome on the top and a platform around, and a couple of
like the Jetsons.
persons walked around walking on air. I was delighted to be able to see such a thing. And then all of a sudden, it was gone.
Just like that.
Anza is a UFO researcher's dream, a living laboratory filled with eyewitnesses.
They moved, first saw them over here, they moved across.
This thing was so bright, there was absolutely no shadows whatsoever on the ground.
It was like a gold trail. It left a gold trail.
Whoa.
Gotilla believes an around-the-clock surveillance
on my
here could
TV.
net scientific proof of UFO activity reported today and possibly in the ancient past, when Indians
The
here
ancient
drew
past.
astronaut-like figures. Because of so much activity, the time was right. A team of UFO experts and skeptics move into the area. This will be one of the largest UFO stakeouts ever. They set up a command post on Thomas Mountain.
Fucking time to catch these aliens once and for all.
Going out there to do what we did. We had the radar.
This radar can detect objects within a 24-mile radius.
Panasonic.
This was pretty elaborate. The equipment was very expensive and very good and very accurate.
The Starlight camera is so sensitive, it can photograph objects in total darkness.
We're going to do it in the
Once
desert, right
online,
next to 5 secret military bases. We're going to catch all these magical UFOs from Melmac.
It sees anything that gives off even the slightest light. It easily picks up stars that are not visible with a regular video camera.
This camera is unique because it has an intensifier, which is more than 1,000 times more sensitive than the video camera you have in your home.
Surveying the area, the researchers are looking for a UFO the locals have nicknamed Goldie, a golden glowing craft seen over and over in the night sky from this mountaintop.
Starlight, we're looking at Mount Cahuilla. This is where Goldie, or the UFO, which has been seen about 50 times in the past 3 or 4 years, usually appears. It appears in this area and has been seen actually all across Mount Cahuilla. This
Oh, that answers everything.
The team gathers data and keeps meticulous notes. They continually monitor the sky. Then, unexpectedly, they're visited by witnesses.
Oh, shit, that'd be
Debbie
super
Steinberg
powerful.
didn't want to
We
talk
could
about
emulate
her
PS Triple.
experience in town. She hiked to the stakeout area for a private meeting with researchers.
This was about 10:30 at night that it started. And I closed my eyes, and when I opened them again, I found myself in a room, and I was laying on
And
a
an alien was taking my double chin and flapping it back around, and they were pointing and laughing.
table, and I had...
They were taking my double chin, flicking it, and going blip, blip, blip.
6 beings, and I couldn't tell you what they were doing because I really don't know. But
They were laughing at your hair. And they were calling you Mr. Loaf. How are you doing, Mr. Loaf? You're my favorite musical artist.
I remember the one that was on the left of my head took something from my head.
Researchers at the stakeout say that Debbie's story fits the classic pattern of what is known as a UFO abduction experience.
I believe that that the abduction phenomenon is real, that it is extraterrestrial, that people are basically describing events that are happening to them with an objective reality.
Dr. Jacobs has investigated UFO abductions.
Now it's so much easier to prove shit. There's not so much alien abductions these days.
In his bestseller, Secret Life.
Usually the abduction
just like the Bermuda Triangle, or as I call it, the Baloney Triangle.
Phenomenon begins in childhood and goes all the way through old age, and so they've had a series of experiences throughout their life.
Alex Trebek.
This is a rendition
that
of,
was deathbed Alex Trebek.
The craft I saw when I was 4 and my brother was 3, and where I was zapped with light. This is a drawing of what I call the silhouettes. I'm very afraid of this rod. This one.
By
here.
Jarvis, age 48.
The eye is long, long and thin, and very black.
There was some eye contact, but it was like you and I are making eye contact right now. It's not that we're looking at each other's eyes, but we're more like reading each other's minds. That's more like what it was.
Really?
I'm a hypnotherapist. I am now specializing in UFO abduction cases.
And bullshittery.
Yvonne Smith heads an abduction support group where people can share their experiences.
Oh man, it'd be so fun to join those support groups back then, knowing you don't believe any of it and just listen to the retards each try to one up their stupid bullshit lies. Well, they probed my butt 6 times. Well, yeah, they probed my butt 8 times with a spike.
And discuss their feelings.
I was 6 years old, and I lived in
I'd have ducked
Georgia,
her.
near Macon, Georgia. And I just remember it was in the middle of the night, and I woke up, and I was staring.
Oh, you know you could have. You could have got some cheesy alien bitches.
At the side of the head of the being, and I started to panic, and a couple of the beings in the craft subdued me somehow, and they had a very large instrument that came over my head, and they
It was a
showed me
keytar, wasn't it? I bet it was a keytar.
a little BB looking thing, and they told me they were going to put it up my nose. But then
Oh
this
shit! Just
instrument
like
came
Total
over
Recall.
my head and punctured the soft palate of my mouth, and it hurt very bad. And the
Poor little
next
guy.
thing I knew, I was being placed back in my bedroom.
Oh.
I'm finding in my cases
What a
many
treat.
chilling similarities. The person
In-house.
is taken against their will, taken into a craft of some kind, put on a table. The women
there he is.
begin to experience the gynecological examinations done by the aliens.
It's just your uncle, lady.
Aliens
Just your
on
uncle in a cheap mask.
them. They feel very violated. With the men, anal probes are
You're meant to getting pumped out, dude.
inserted and sperm
Whoa!
is taken. It's all done against their will, and they're really helpless to do
Hey,
anything
help yourself. I usually just shoot this shit down the toilet. Hey, you want any more? I got plenty more if you want.
about it.
Coming up, the abducted relive more terrifying experiences through hypnotic therapy.
During some abductions, I'm aware of their taking sperm samples.
And later, our UFO investigation in Anza, California continues.
Regression
Saucer
therapy
anal.
is an extremely controversial method in which abductees relive their UFO encounters under hypnosis. Some scientists suggest that what they're actually reliving might be repressed emotional trauma or subconscious fears from childhood. But for the abductee, the alien encounter is very real.
Whoa.
In abduction cases, many times
Yvonne, whatever your name is, stop wasting your life on this crap.
the person will remember consciously that something strange or bizarre happened to them, something out of the ordinary. They desire to go into hypnosis to retrieve the hidden
I mean,
mem-
P. Diddy does kind of look like an alien with that light bulb head he has. Just saying. And he anal probes.
memories.
During some abductions, I'm aware of their taking sperm samples in many different ways. They've done it in many different ways. With tubes, with like catheters. There's one way I have not been able to deal with.
I mean, the aliens could at least give you a hand job if they want. You know what I'm saying? Look, dude, you woke me up. You need something from me. Don't do it the painful way.
Emotionally or under regression. And that's one where there's a being on top of me. And I can't deal with
Yeah, I figured it out, cock lunch.
Under hypnosis, Jesse Long is reliving trauma that he believes is caused by his abduction experience. That he believes is caused by his abduction experience. He believes
Richie Milkus, Saturday morning after a long Friday night of streaming.
is caused by his abduction experience.
It's Saturday morning.
As incredible as it sounds, these people are actually reliving these terrifying experiences.
Long claims to have not only emotional scars, but real physical scars as well. Even more disturbing are stories from women who believe they were abducted
Yeah,
for breeding
stories from women. Likely story, bro.
purposes.
As incredible as this may sound, we have come across in the research cases having to do with missing fetuses.
I remember they numbed me from the waist down, and they took something that looked like
Hey, aliens, give her back her fetus.
umbilical cord attached to placenta, and they levitated it into some kind of chamber.
Later abduction
Yeah, how come
scenario-
they all have wacky different stories? None of them line up.
She is actually shown a baby. Now, this baby is not like a human baby that, as we know it, it's a cross between an alien and a human.
It's the central question of UFO research today. Why are they manufacturing these offspring, these babies? If we knew the answer to that,
That's right,
I think we would have a
stealing jerks.
large part of the UFO mystery finally in hand.
Not every reported encounter with an alien is frightening and traumatic. Some people who've claimed...
How much trouble do you think at those alien meetings if you said to the girls, hey, you know, you can slut it up a little bit?
Contact with extraterrestrials
you can slut it up a little bit.
The encounter was a peaceful communication.
That was certainly the case for Dorothy
Whenever you talk about your black belt in karate.
Izad of Vancouver, British Columbia.
I went over to the window, looked out, and there was this enormous thing up in the sky. It was in the shape of a diamond. And as I watched it, like there was a whole group of little, like, silver dollars.
Yeah, those meetings are just so they could all get their story straight.
Came out of the large ship.
Dorothy and her family reported that UFOs appeared every night.
I've been with her. I've seen these things. We all went down and we saw the phenomena, you know, flying in formation, you know, streaking across the sky, this sort of thing. She tells me what they are. But
they probed my bunghole
until they drag me screaming and kicking in one of their ships. And I'm afraid that's my nature, and that's where they stay.
Blame her for how they're dressed. Well, you kind of asked for it. Look at you.
Through the test that this person is telling the truth, whatever she's doing, and that she's honest, and she's a very
Hanford Simmons,
average, normal individual.
This is what witnesses have seen. These are not street lights, airplanes, or other conventional lights. This is actual footage of unidentified flying objects. This is a single frame of Dorothy's film.
Okay, let's say that's real. How come we haven't seen this in 20-something years? 20 years, like 30 years. How come we haven't seen this in 30-something years? If it's so real and so undeniable.
1/18 of a second.
This is the first time I've ever seen this.
Do not appear on the frame before or after this one, suggesting that the light is moving great distances in an 1/18 of a second.
We looked up into the sky, Dorothy too, and she went
I asked them to probe my snatch, but they laughed at me!
to the window.
I'll be right back. I get some curve.
And she said, oh, come on. Do something for my friends. They've been here for so long. And right away, 3 shafts of light, as bright as anything, just shot right up into the air where we were watching.
My communications with the light beings are that they're very worried about us humans because we usually do things without thinking. The weapons we build, the way we raping the earth without thinking of the consequences.
Although it does not appear that this film has been altered, skeptics believe these images are the result of light phenomena emanating from Earth, not UFOs. But Dorothy believes these lights are alien spacecraft and that she can communicate with the creatures inside.
Coming up, what caused an unmanned Soviet probe to be knocked out of Martian orbit?
This is something that most likely destroyed the Phobos 2 mission to Mars. And it can do it again.
And our hunt for UFOs in the Southern California desert continues.
The greatest challenge for a serious UFO researcher is finding hard evidence. Film and videotape are easily
serious.
faked, and skeptics distrust.
No, I'm not one of those stupid alien researchers. I'm the real deal, dude.
First-person accounts. The team we followed into the California desert made every effort to maintain a scientifically valid investigation.
They made every effort to stay sober.
Kinds of state-of-the-art technology continue to arrive at the surveillance site.
This radar works like any other radar. It's a precision piece of equipment which utilizes radio waves, which are bounced off a given target.
I missed the lady floppers?
Relative size, speed, and location. And that's how it communicates.
Theoretically, radar signals could also be picked up by an alien craft. Another signaling device is this laser. This high-powered laser acts as a beacon, but researchers also fear it could be interpreted by approaching craft as a hostile act.
On this laser here, you would probably be able to see it reflect off a surface
approximately 2 to 3 miles away, although the laser beam does continue on to infinity. So if I was to shine a laser straight up, it would continue on beyond the Earth's atmosphere and continue on forever.
Wow.
Most UFO research is privately funded, but the U.S. government is now launching its own search for extraterrestrial intelligence with a NASA program known as SETI.
Isn't that already shut down? Isn't SETI already shut down?
Search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and it's an effort by
Obama shut that down, didn't he?
NASA and a
I don't
fair
know.
number
Going
of
off memory.
astronomers to look for life in the galaxy. We're going to turn the world's largest telescopes toward the heavens with the idea of looking
Because you
for
find
some
shit.
signs that we're not alone in the universe. The idea is to listen for radio signals that might be deliberately or perhaps even accidentally transmitted by other civilizations.
It's probably an alien, you're right.
Space will be analyzed by a sophisticated computer system to determine if an alien life form is trying to communicate with us.
It's been said that in the first 30 seconds of this new NASA experiment, we'll collect more data than all the experiments of this type that have collected in the last 30 years. So that's a big step forward.
I've deciphered the alien message.
Boom. The homos are here.
While the U.S. looks for
That's what they
proof of
sent to us.
alien spacecraft, the Russians
Guys, I'm
believe
getting a message from the aliens.
Sup, bitches? It's Chad Warden here.
Oh, shit.
if they already have proof.
In 1988, the Soviet Union launched 2 unmanned probes to explore Mars and the space around the planet. Phobos 2 achieved Mars orbit in January of 1989. However, something then occurred which there is apparently no prosaic explanation for. According to the Russians, they encountered with their unmanned craft an anomalous object, or a
It's a
UFO,
jerk, yeah.
which was computed out to 25 kilometers. What we have is an infrared photograph taken from the Phobos 2 probe. This is the Martian moon Phobos. This is the UFO that apparently the Phobos 2 craft encountered. What happened was the craft observed...
Hey, we just got a new alien message. We did? What is it? Let me bring it up.
Hey, you got nice booby meat.
UFO. It took some photographs of it. Then, according to Soviet sources, this UFO turned toward the Phobos craft. The Russians then lost contact with it, and the craft has been gone ever since.
I think it took out Phobos 2 mission
Chat
because
alien.
Phobos 2 saw something it was
It's
not
over for human cells.
supposed to have seen. If I were in a spacecraft now to Mars, especially to Phobos, I would feel terrified because, in my opinion, based on the knowledge that I have,
Boom, the
something
Phobos
is
right
out
here.
there. And what it is, I don't know. But this is something that most likely destroyed the Phobos 2 mission to Mars. And it can do it again.
He's right. I don't know what he said, but he's right.
Startling results of our UFO investigation.
And I'm totally freaked out. I mean, I've got shivers going all the way
What,
up
you
my
hate Phobos? That must mean you must secretly want to fuck Phobos.
spine.
From the outset of their investigation in Anza, California, the research team realized that the chances of capturing a UFO on film were extremely remote. But even with a skeptical eye to the skies, the team made a startling discovery.
Maintaining the surveillance equipment
Uh-oh,
and
Starling
recording
Discovery
data
time.
has been a full-time job for researchers. 2 days and nights of hard work finally
I have a
pay off.
startling discovery. I heard they're discontinuing pizzerias, the pizzeria chips.
After day-long
That was a startling
preparations,
discovery back
a
in
strange
1992.
light appears in the sky. The camera was not in position, but skeptical observers were.
And I'm totally freaked out. I mean, I've got shivers going all the way up my spine.
Calm down, booger.
I don't know how to explain this. You know, I'm a pure skeptic, definitely. And to see what I just saw, there's, you know, I can't be skeptical.
We saw a yellowish orange light appear over the mountain. It traveled a little bit to our right and split off into 2 lights.
And as we watched them, they began to fade in intensity.
Whoa.
And after about 30 to 40 seconds, they disappeared from view.
I'm sold. I'm sold.
The sighting lasted only 15 seconds, but soon another UFO appeared, and this time the cameras were ready. The team captured this amazing UFO video.
You guys watching this inside?
It's going up. Going straight up.
There it is.
Go, go, go. 249,
249. We are presently watching this light, anomalous light, it's now rising above Mount Cahuilla. It appears to be more oblong or
definitely a UFO
shaped than a conventional aircraft would be.
This starlight videotape.
It's just like a grocery bag. It's like a plastic grocery bag just flopping in the air. It's aliens!
We ever know about the UFO nicknamed Goldie. Neither U.S. military sources nor the FAA have a definitive explanation. Researchers in ANZA now have extensive logs and video, but none of it can yet explain who or what is out there.
With so many sightings and contacts
I want ghosts!
Even the U.S. government is now taking notice. NASA will spend $100 million over the next 10 years.
$100 million in all their friends' pockets. Yeah, we're looking in that alien stuff. We're going to need another $50 million. But yeah, we're looking into it.
To scientifically search for intelligent life in the universe. One wonders if this mission will show that spaceships and extraterrestrials are more than...
just one guy taped a one of those 80s voice recorders to the roof of his house. We're working on it, but I need another 50 million.
Science fiction. For Sightings, I'm Tim White. Good night.
On the next Sightings, some claim real-life vampires still exist today. We uncover startling new evidence of the living dead. Plus, a Scottish house of horror that's terrorized locals for hundreds of years.
Some fudging spooks.
On the next Sightings.
Worth every penny.
Tomorrow, after a full hour of Cops, see one of the most...
NASA is such a fucking money sink just for people. You know what I mean? It just goes straight into people's pockets.
Amazing
doesn't do
rescues
anything.
ever captured on videotape. A fireman rushes out of a burning building with an unconscious child and miraculously brings him back to life.
What?
Witness this real-life drama on an all-new Code 3, followed by The Edge tomorrow.
I ain't watching that shit.
Now, Likely Suspects is next.
That's right. No refunds. Well, it's going to get super spooky. Well, you should film them spamming up so you can get on Sightings. Sightings.
Tonight on Sightings, it's the search for the world's most elusive creatures.
And all of a sudden, the top of it swiveled, like, a head.
Are these monsters myth and legend, or horrifying real-life creations?
I've never seen anything like it. I was very, very scared.
And
who's talking about my Johnson?
Could these terrifying mutations threaten us all?
So there's a good indication that there may be some strange animal that we haven't...
You stole Gary's shirt, you jerk. Give it back.
Covered yet.
At that point, it started to appear.
They had large, dark eyes, claw-like hands.
I began sensing and knowing and feeling.
I do believe in life after death. I mean, I've been there.
We have not scratched the surface of what the mind can do.
It's a connection.
When his whoop's on. So spooky.
Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. Tonight, monsters. They inhabit the nightmares of childhood and the folklore of every culture. And now there are scientists who believe that monsters
a sweet tie. Where do I get that tie?
Myth.
They're
real. There are bizarre creatures among us that can't be explained. Some of them have been captured alive. And many of them live in our own backyard.
Since earliest recorded history, there have been monsters to strike a chord of fear in all of them.
Faces of fear?
In the Bible, monsters represented pure evil.
They took many different forms,
but all had the same goal, to do the bidding of an unrelenting Satan.
Oh, shit.
By the 1800s, the sensibilities of Victorian society gave monsters a human face, but their evil deeds
those titties
were decidedly inhuman. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein became fictional folklore, but the strangest account wasn't to be found in the pages of a Gothic novel, but with our 26th president, Theodore Roosevelt.
In the late 1800s, the woods of this country, the wilderness areas, were wild and dangerous. President Roosevelt found out just how dangerous these wilderness areas could be. Teddy Roosevelt loved to hunt. He loved to chase creatures through the wilderness, track, shoot.
And he loved forest animals.
He found out this wasn't as much fun as he thought. When his hunting party frightened a Sasquatch into the camp of two trappers.
Give me your new post, you cocksucking asshole. Give me your shoes.
One of the trappers.
You can't have my shoes,
killed,
Bigfoot.
Neck broken, body mutilated, half-eaten by what seems to be, for all intents and purposes, a Sasquatch.
A Sasquatch?
8.5-inch footprints were found the next morning, and Roosevelt was discredited. He became obsessed with finding this creature.
This is a theory developed by world-renowned Bigfoot investigator Terry Albright, based on Roosevelt's own writings about his hunting experiences all over the world.
Teddy loved forest
Teddy
animals.
Roosevelt never actually came face-to-face with a Bigfoot, Albright claims he was obsessed with stories of reported sightings and carried the fascination to his grave.
Now, if Sasquatch is out there and potentially dangerous if aggravated, how many other creatures or things that go bump in the night are out there that we don't know about?
Dude, if there was a if there was a real Sasquatch, he would come out when the PS3 came out. He ain't missing that shit.
This
Look at that
is
thing.
Hollywood's version of monsters. Creatures designed to scare us, even horrify us with their bloodthirsty qualities. But Hollywood monsters are just as likely to make us laugh at our own fears when they're obviously men in silly rubber suits.
Hollywood
That's a
pokes a lot of
suit.
fun at
Pretty
monsters.
good suit.
But the fact of the matter is, we have unexplained deaths. The Pentagon must know. Therefore, why aren't we being told the truth about
Sassy
the creature?
Squatch. Sassy Squatch. Sassy Squatch.
Despite resistance, Terry Albright continues to search for proof of Bigfoot and other alleged monsters. One unlikely
You met a
hotspot
Sasquatch 4
is
times?
Bishopville, South Carolina. Residents here have encountered a bizarre humanoid creature that's rumored to haunt the nearby swamps. On July 5th, 1988, the Sheriff's Department responded to a call from a man who said he had been attacked by a scaly, 7-foot-tall monster locals have dubbed Lizard Man. 20-year-old Chris Davis was changing a tire on his car when he heard strange
ride.
sounds.
And after I finished changing the tire, I was putting the stuff in the trunk. And I heard a noise. I looked back. I see something big running toward me. So I shut the trunk.
I was just Uncle Ray Ray, dude.
Into the car. I heard a loud crash on the hood.
Something
That was you?
or someone had clawed the hood of Chris's car and ripped off the molding.
Yeah,
Footprints that
okay.
didn't match those of any known animal were found near the attack site by Sheriff Liston Truesdale.
Okay,
This
dude.
track was found in the woods not long after the Lizard Man's story broke out.
No one knows what creature
A lizard
could have
man?
made this claw-like print, 14.5 inches long and 7 inches wide. There
But a
are
lizard man doesn't even make sense.
alligators in the area, but no one believes the prints or the attack was the work of alligators or any other animal known in the pages of traditional biology. And yet each year,
At least some people have like Bigfoot. We had like the Jersey Devil. Did you ever see what the Jersey Devil looks like? It's the stupidest. It's like a. I don't even know how to explain it. It's the stupidest looking thing you've ever seen.
there are bizarre discoveries that drastically change our perceptions about life on Earth.
Bigfoot's way cooler than the Jersey Devil.
It scared me because of the traits it had.
Everyone believes that there is something here.
That thing went back that way, and I went that way.
Sound far out? Well, pandas were
I
once
tried to pickpocket this big motherfucker. Then he turned around and I said, "What the shit?"
mysterious monsters in China until Western zoologists tracked and cataloged them. Marine biologists estimate that there are
PS1
over
platform
1
game.
million species of sea life yet to be discovered. In 1989, Woods Hole Oceanographic
Jersey
captured
Devil's
these
pretty fruity.
incredible bioluminescent
You had the goat man?
creatures, and no one knows what they are.
Could
Could these be real living monsters that somehow survived from
Yeah,
prehistoric
it's a chicken with bat wings. Yeah, it's the stupidest looking thing you've ever seen.
Experts believe the ozone layer is shrinking, creating climate changes.
Chupacabra, skinwalkers, way cooler than the Jersey Devil.
DNA may be mutating, and with unprecedented heat and drought, who knows what bizarre new life forms
Let me
may
see if
be
I can show you a
created by
picture
these
of it.
atmospheric changes.
Coming up next.
Its appearance was just a large humanoid creature walking like a human being.
Our sightings investigators search for the legendary Bigfoot.
There is no possibility that could be a man.
This is the Jersey Devil. This thing.
A monster.
What the fuck is that?
Half man, half beast.
It's the stupidest looking thing I've ever seen.
A missing link between humans and apes. Since the first recorded sighting in 200 BC, creatures matching this description have been reported worldwide.
Even the Mothman is cooler.
But witnesses have caught only fleeting glimpses of the monster we now call Bigfoot. Is he?
The Mothman's pretty cheesy.
Real?
Cooler than the Jersey Devil.
From their office in San Dimas, California, Terry Albright and his partner Peter Gattila are obsessed with tracking down the legendary Bigfoot. For over a year, the team has been concentrating on a rash of reliable sightings.
Yeah, on an emaciated horse.
California. Signs of the creature's impact on local business are everywhere. In fact, the residents have adopted Bigfoot as an unofficial mascot.
Yeah, but it's very stupid looking.
Travels up and down the West Coast, and it's in Alaska in the summertime, and then comes back down here for winter.
Well, they even know where he goes.
The biggest thing is size and its movement. More human-like than anything.
I was in the woods, and then out of the woods, I turned around and I saw this smelly monkey thing, and it said,
"Nice ass, dude."
And I just started running.
Than any animal. It had to be Bigfoot.
It just had to be Bigfoot.
Here, Albright and Gattila ask eyewitness Faye Milner to return to the site of her first Bigfoot encounter.
Well, you'll sell meth
Got out of
over
the car,
here.
And dogs started raising hell and just barking
Faye
and
Milner.
sniffing and carrying on. So I just looked around. I thought, well, you know, maybe there's something here. Looked up here and saw 3 Bigfoots standing there.
During an examination of the forest, the researchers found evidence they believe confirms Bigfoot was there. And recently,
these branches way up here and up here. Now, some of these branches have been rubbed raw.
There you go. That's hard evidence, guys. That's hard evidence right there. Whoa!
Places where things have been broken off, as you can see, through here.
Bigfoots or big feet? That's a good question.
There is a path. Here is a branch which has been knocked off and walked over many times. Broken branches here. Pushed down branches there. Something has obviously come through here regularly.
Yeah, I don't know, probably a
the
deer or
evidence
something.
is similar to
I mean, I
that
guess
found
probably a fucking deer or something.
throughout the Pacific Northwest and British Columbia. And eyewitness descriptions are strikingly similar.
We could see them go behind that tree in through that opening, and then they were gone.
Bigfoot once kidnapped me, and he molested my nether regions. There he is. That's missing primate number 1. The Book of Missing Primates. Let's see these missing primates. There's one. There's one missing primate. Where did he go? There's another primate. Primate number 3. Where did they go, guys?
What I saw was about a 6.5, 7 foot creature, Bigfoot.
Whoa.
That's the scariest I've probably been in my life, to be that close to something and not see it and feel it. And the way it was breathing.
And I've been to Harlem.
That thing was big, big.
Its appearance was just a large humanoid.
Remember the black hat rule.
Creature walking like a human being.
There's never been a cool guy after the 60s who wore a black cowboy hat.
It's called Yeti. These tracks were found at the base of Mount Everest. The Chinese call it Fei-Fei, a 10-foot tall creature whom they say has a taste for human flesh. Native Americans call it Oma. In Canada, it's Sasquatch. And in the western United States, we call it Bigfoot. October 20th, 1967, Bigfoot research pioneers Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin discover the trail of what they believe is an enormous Bigfoot. They gather what evidence they can, and deep in this pine forest,
Big red
they can feel an
sneakers.
uneasy presence. They face a dilemma. How will they react if a Bigfoot actually appears?
We came around a bend in the creek where there was a downfall tree. At that point, as we came around the bend in the creek there, this creature was standing beside the creek.
Startled by the looming presence of the creature, the horses
Get out of
reared.
here.
Roger Patterson
People
was
always
thrown to the
people
ground.
show this one all the time because someone spent more than 15 minutes on the fucking Bigfoot costume.
But steadied his camera long
Maybe
enough
spent
to
3
capture
hours.
this legendary creature on film.
They encountered it very close, I think 20, 25 feet.
We already talked about
away.
aliens.
And Roger Patterson turned on his movie camera, ran after it as far as he could, and finally he stopped and it walked away.
Further perspective on the footage comes from Grover Krantz,
Oh.
a physical anthropologist at Washington State University.
Here is a cast that was made at the...
These always look so
in
fake, these feet casts.
1967
Like they're
at
too
the
square.
site where Roger Patterson got a movie of one. And this is what I would consider to be probably an adult female. The creature has
Oh,
extremely
shit.
wide
Oh,
shoulders,
oh.
well over 3 feet wide. And I've done some measurements, and no
I
human
wish I had an of-age Bigfoot female.
being
That's
at
alive.
6.5 feet tall would have shoulders and chest widths to equal that. So there's no way they could fit their arms in the costume. I've gone through the whole
No,
film
it's
and
totally
reconstructed
impossible to make that into
everything,
a
the
costume.
exact body movements and everything you can. And I'm satisfied that there is no possibility that could be a man.
You know the arms don't move at all, right? It's just kind of flopping back and forth. I don't think the moves move at all.
There's just no way around it.
This is kind of
If the
flop.
film is not a hoax, then this is the moving image of a giant unknown species, probably female, as she passes alone by a river. Her slow retreat suggests no fear of man and no desire to make contact with us.
Films, videotapes, and plaster casts of giant footprints do little to satisfy skeptics who believe
Yeah,
that
like
Bigfoot
me.
is nothing more than hoax and folklore. Scientists demand more conclusive proof, and some believe that proof may be found in the fossilized jawbone of a species called Gigantopithecus.
In the late 1950s, an anomalous lower jawbone was discovered in
I
China.
thought we were getting UFO
Dr.
or
Krantz believes this may
spooks
be scientific proof
and vampires.
that Bigfoot exists.
Look at them titties.
I've taken this jaw and tried to reconstruct what I think the entire skull would look like. This is what I've ended up with. That this is what the Gigantopithecus
This is not a leap at all, right?
skull would have looked like. So I would certainly say the best guess as to what Bigfoot is it's Gigantopithecus still with us.
It just made the top half out of nothing.
With mounting physical evidence from all over the world, Krantz believes it's only a matter of time before responsible researchers make the scientific discovery of the century, the capture of a living, unharmed Bigfoot.
Coming up,
We knew right off the bat it had to be some kind of a monster in the lake.
has science found proof that the Loch Ness Monster
Man, they're covering all the
exists?
lame shit
There's a
first.
good indication that there may be some
Like Loch Ness
strange-
Monster and Bigfoot is the lamest. No one believes in Bigfoot. No one believes in the Loch Ness Monster. Whoa, when's the last time anyone talked about that shit? When's the last picture of it?
strange animal that we haven't
It was all
discovered yet.
fucking cheesy nonsense.
If we are to believe the thousands of
I mean, it
sailors
all is, but that's really bad.
and fishermen who've seen them, enormous sea serpents have populated our oceans and lakes since earliest recorded history.
Yeah, now
The
with
most
high definition cameras, they can't pull off anymore, so now they don't do it. You don't see
popular
the
spot for
shit.
sightings is, of course, Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. For 1,400 years, residents have searched for proof of a monster they know is there.
The celebrated Loch Ness, 24 miles long, its waters so deep, dark, and murky that legend has it this body of water
was
is
captured.
cursed. Locals will
I'm
tell
just
you the
saying,
lake
these are the
never gives
boring, like, cliche things.
up its dead. Since 565 AD, hundreds have witnessed a creature no one can explain.
There it came out of a loch was this huge
Well, he'd still be there if it wasn't for climate change, idiot.
shape, massive shape, brown, green.
I've been sitting there for months, man. Be my guest.
Huge.
Be my guest if you want
And
that
it
hot
then
dog.
zopped back into the loch, and then the loch was flat calm. And what I saw then was waves about 18 inches high going to each side of the loch. And then it just disappeared.
Believe it or not, we saw this
You gonna find
great
Nessie?
neck emerge from the water, about 5 feet, we estimate, above the water at an angle. Head and neck seemed to be one. Then it moved down with a sideways kind of motion, disappeared. And we hadn't drunk a drop of whiskey that morning.
Whale peckers?
These witnesses are seeing something strange and alive.
Wish you could tell the whale that. Hey, dude, that was actually your pecker. People all think it's a monster.
Five in the water. But what?
The first time you'd see a
Some
whale
believe that
laugh.
there are prehistoric creatures in Loch Ness that have survived extinction.
Hey, it's my Johnson.
What else could explain this bizarre figure? Captured in the most famous of all Loch Ness Monster photographs. Taken by a reputable London surgeon in 1933, this was the start of a worldwide search.
I mean, I'm sure there is.
Monster.
The big question in all this, of course, is are these animals...
But, you know, most people, they see something weird, they're like, that's weird. And then, like, you know, they go home. Nah, but these people are just people who make shit up and then try to sell books.
Why don't we catch them? Why do we see them so rarely?
In order to answer these questions, scientists have used many different techniques to
But I mean, how many times has it been down on the bottom of that lake's really fucking deep. But I know they've checked it out like 800 fucking times.
Or even capture the Loch Ness Monster. In 1975, the Academy of Applied Sciences made headlines around the world with these remarkable pictures. They clearly show a flipper and the body of
That's
a
a flipper
creature
if I've
never
ever seen one.
photographed before. Could this be what locals affectionately refer to as Nessie? With this new evidence, the search for a living monster intensified. Operation Deep Scan was mounted.
They've done this like 100 times.
With sophisticated radar and sonar worked together to scan every inch of the lake. Then, one underwater scanner picked up a startling anomaly.
Oh, shit.
Did you find target out over? It started at about 400
It was Cobra's mom.
feet down and rose up to 320 feet before we lost the target, over.
When we work with sonar, we get strong sonar contacts in Loch Ness.
Oh.
Obviously, we have to resolve that because the two may be linked.
So, what is in Loch Ness?
You know that guy just does this shit for free drinks.
The answer may also explain
He's just
what
out
is
there
in
for the
Lake
free drinks.
Okanagan, 9,000 miles away in British Columbia, where
Jay
residents
Dawkins
describe
doesn't
an
know.
equally mysterious lake monster.
We had slowed down somewhat and moved over for it because it was
That
coming.
guy's got deadly weapons hidden in that hair. Throwing stars and
We
shit.
had slowed down.
Look at that. What's he hiding? What's he hiding under that thick, full, bouncy, shiny, silky head of hair?
Somewhat and moved over for it because it was coming straight for us.
Guy goes to the bar. What do you want? I want the kid toucher.
As it got across from us, we could see that this object, it was about 30 feet in length.
Probably blow
and it was stirring up a tremendous amount of water.
Could the creature that reportedly inhabits this lake be related to the Loch Ness Monster? The sightings follow a similar pattern, going back 100 years when Indians named this monster Ogopogo.
Ogopogo?
All of a sudden, Ogopogo came to the top of the water. And
Hey, what kind of haircut you want? Give me the Betty Staines.
my husband looked at me and he said, "Oh my God, it's Ogopogo."
We figured it's around 40 feet long, and there's no fish in this lake.
I want that shirt, dude. Where do I get that fucking shirt?
40 feet long, so it wasn't a fish.
We
Is
knew
that
right off the
Paisley?
bat it had to be some kind of a monster in the lake.
Unlike Nessie, an Ogopogo sighting has rarely been captured on film. But in 1987, an American film crew shooting a news documentary on Ogopogo made news themselves
Steal
when
his
they
look.
shot this rare videotape, an unidentified creature rising to the surface.
There
of
it
the
is!
lake.
Nothing around it, nothing in front of it, nothing behind it.
What did the news crew film? Was it an extraordinarily large fish or a prehistoric cousin of the
My
Loch
thing
Ness
is, right, they always catch these giant fucking snakes in the water and shit. Like, everything. Like, there's giant shit out there, but they never catch this fucking thing.
monster? Are witnesses seeing the
Did you ever see that picture of the giant fucking snake they found in the water? From like an
9,000
aerial
miles
shot?
apart? And could there be more yet to be discovered in other
Ogopogo
bodies of
in
water
ants?
around the world?
There's a good indication that there may be some strange animal that we haven't discovered yet. Chance will eventually perhaps favor us.
Hogan, did you see Ogopogo?
That is going in my ass.
With discovering everything that lives in the ocean.
If lake monsters actually exist, where did they come from? One intriguing theory suggests that...
Let me introduce you to my Ogopogo.
In the last ice age, certain prehistoric animals were trapped in what would later become freshwater lakes. The possibility that these monsters are actually living dinosaurs propels scientists to continue serious research.
Coming up,
There it
world's
is.
most bizarre and frightening creations may be forced into our own backyards.
It wasn't a natural thing. It was some kind of, I think it was an unnatural creature.
A bolt of lightning, 100 million volts of electricity. Experiments have shown that this may have been the jolt that created life out of seawater. If that's true, imagine the beasts that could be created in the toxic waste of the 20th century.
I've never seen anything like it. I was very, very
Just a lot of animals with tumors.
Perhaps the most amazing discovery of all was this creature, captured by Japanese
A
fishermen.
200-pound snapping turtle? Fuck that.
This bizarre carcass was caught off the
That would
coast
chop your dome in half.
of New Zealand. But the fishermen did not realize the importance of what they'd found. These rare photos were taken before the body was thrown back. Satellite photographs show that thousands of square miles of Pacific Ocean may be heating up. Near Mozambique, a fish thought to be extinct for 2 million years is captured alive.
They
Could
caught the
all
last
these
one and
events
ate
be
it.
a hint of other monsters yet to be discovered?
When I first saw it, the neck was way out of the water. So I went to turn my boat to avoid this. And then all of a sudden, the top of it
All
swiveled.
of a sudden.
Like, you know...
This guy's a little sweet. A little light in the
Yeah,
loafers.
that's when the excitement started.
Gary Limetta was on a pleasure cruise when he encountered a sea
A pleasure cruise!
This exclusive footage captures an 8-foot neck rising from the surface.
From what Gary Limetta has described, it looked to him like a very large turtle without a shell. The big question is, what can this animal be?
Oh, what the fuck would a turtle look like without its shell? Isn't the shell the main part of the turtle? What? A big turtle without a shell.
After all,
right.
We have a catalog of a great number of animals that we have caught in the ocean. Are there any others?
We may soon find out. Dwindling animal habitats. and
The show's almost
destruction of the
over, and we were
world's wild
promised
places.
vampires. What the hell?
Animals, perhaps monsters, will soon have nowhere to go but into our own backyards.
It scared me
Shoe without laces.
because of the of
It
the
looked
truth
like a
of it.
hamburger without the burger.
You know, it wasn't a natural thing. It was some kind of, I think it was an unnatural creature.
Unnatural. She's right. She's totally right.
Humanoid monsters and bizarre creatures of the deep have terrified people for thousands of years.
Yeah, what
But
happened to the
perhaps we shouldn't
vampires?
fear these so-called monsters. Remember, every day on this planet, more than 20 species of
Oh,
plant
you know this guy fucking yelled at the camera crew. Like, he's like, is this what I gotta read? Motherfucker. All right, get away from me. Just fucking reads this stupid shit. You giving me this crap. Vampires, dude, really? I gotta talk to my fucking agent.
and animal become extinct,
I
vanish
picture him throwing the papers a lot going, eh.
from the face of the earth. Perhaps serious
just wing
study
it.
of those creatures we call monsters can reverse the process. For Sightings, I'm Tim White. Good night.
Poor Tim White. He deserves better, Tim White.
Bobby's new girlfriend is beautiful beyond belief. Bobby's new girlfriend is beautiful girlfriend is beautiful beyond belief. Girlfriend is beautiful girlfriend is beautiful girlfriend
Beautiful.
is beautiful girlfriend is beautiful beyond belief.
Beautiful.
But could she be a killer in disguise?
What?
Criminals often use an alias. First she's a killer, now you got her coming from another planet.
It's an all-new Vinny and Bobby tomorrow.
Beautiful.
And if you're looking for a few good laughs, join the few, the proud, the Comedy Corps. As America...
All right, out. You better have some fucking ghosts.
On this edition of Sightings, vampires, are they real? Or
Finally!
the stuff that nightmares are made of?
The best thing about being a vampire is the taste of the blood.
Our researchers hunt for evidence in human skeletal remains and prove that vampires still
Bitch,
exist.
you ain't no vampire.
Then, they were ordinary people until they had frightening visions of real-life murders.
It was as if someone had put a picture right in front of me.
Fluke or psychic phenomena that could solve our most horrifying crimes. And our ongoing Bermuda Triangle investigation
No!
uncovers a startling piece of evidence that may
I'm
unlock
skipping Bermuda Triangle shit.
the mystery of missing Flight 19.
This telegram is certainly a genuine telegram of the period.
Thanks, old dude. Thanks for backing that up.
They had large, dark eyes, claw-like hands.
begin sensing and knowing and feeling.
I do believe in
Seriously.
life after death. I mean, I've been there.
We have not scratched the surface of what the mind can do.
Shit, Mario 64 wasn't even out when this show came out. That's right, Bormuda.
Just about everything we know about vampires was created
Dude,
almost...
they didn't even give you a new tie, did they, bro? They made you wear the same fucking shit between two shows. Poor abused Tim White. They're like, we're only paying Tim White for the day, so get as much done as you can.
100 years ago by Bram Stoker.
Tim White was
in his
a Fed.
classic
Look at
Gothic
him.
novel Dracula. It's been the inspiration for countless stories and movies about a fictional character with a taste for human blood. But today in the United States, some people believe that vampires actually exist. We think of vampires as part of Eastern European folklore or the result of Hollywood conjuring, not as the stuff of small-town America. But in the late 18th century, belief in the undead...
It's like, they don't even bother giving him different clothes.
Rituals designed to keep them...
Henry Winkler. Henry Winkler was like, all he needs is one suit, all right?
Deceased from coming back.
Very Fonzie like Henry.
On the living. The Connecticut countryside is dotted with old cemeteries. In Griswold, a dark secret lay dormant for nearly 2 centuries and has only recently been unearthed. In Washington, at the prestigious Walter Reed Army Medical Center, remains uncovered in Griswold were analyzed by Paul Sedzik, a curator at the National Museum of Health and Medicine.
I was given a call by the state archaeologist in Connecticut to help identify and analyze some skeletal material that was found at this
He was
site in
immediately fired after this episode.
Griswold, Connecticut. What happened was some kids had found a couple of skulls laying at the bottom of a little ravine, and they brought them to the police, and the police called the medical examiner. The medical examiner did some research into the records in that time period and came up with vampire activity or vampire cults in the 18th and 19th.
This guy's like, hey, Tim, can I borrow your tie? Tim, I forgot my tie. Can I borrow yours?
19th century.
Archaeologists probed the graves for mutilated corpses, the telltale signs of suspected vampires.
How dare you?
The next step in verification was determining the cause of death.
Pretty evident to see the cause of death. In the skeleton from Connecticut, this vampire skeleton, there's evidence of tuberculosis in some of the upper left ribs. And here we can see evidence here, this whitish area that we're seeing close to the
just have one tie. It's a clip-on. It's a clip-on that you share. and every time they give it to someone new, they're like, it's a clip-on.
Tuberculosis played a major role in the vampire folklore of the 1800s. It was believed that those who died of TB could come back and infect the living. So a ritual developed to ensure that a corpse's eternal resting place really was eternal.
What they actually did was take the bones here in the chest.
Oh, so basically what you're saying is vampires aren't real.
And jumbled them up like someone had just taken their hand and kind of moved it around in that fashion. They then took the two femora, the upper leg bones, crossed this one here and this other one on top of it, over across like that. They then took the skull and placed that right in this area. And then they closed the crypt back up.
You know, I hope they dig you up 500 years later, dude. And they got your cheesy body up there and playing with your skull and shit.
Graves were opened anywhere from 2 weeks to a year after burial. Graves of dearly departed loved ones or anyone who died of tuberculosis.
What floored me is just that people could actually believe that someone...
Oh, you think they might have done some shady shit? Like, just talk about this skeleton a little bit. Next thing you know, they're on sightings. Say, wait a minute.
Could actually
I didn't agree to be on this stupid
ones.
show.
And there are accounts in New England, especially of men going into the graves of their daughter and removing their hearts and burning them, and you know, fathers doing it to sons, sons doing it to fathers.
Well, I mean, they said they dug up graves. Like, go put the guy back in the dirt.
Very close family units. There were probably lots of people attending these exhumations and killing of vampires, and when you do read them, there can be upwards of 300 or 400 people. The whole town would probably turn out. You know, it's a major social event. Digging up wives, husbands, sons, daughters, and trying to kill them again. I mean, that's something that we couldn't even conceive of today. I couldn't imagine going and digging up the grave of my daughter and trying to kill her again. It was something that completely would never enter my mind.
Are you sure about that, dude? That was a weird kind of thing to bring up. You know what I mean? It's just to bring out of left field, talking about digging your dead daughter up. It's kind of weird. I'm just saying, it's kind of weird, dude.
In many parts of America, you can still hear chilling tales of vampires today.
It just entered his
In Los
mind.
Angeles, professor of folklore and author Noreen Dresser researches living vampires.
Very often, the act
What
of
a
drinking
treat.
blood is a prelude to sex.
Yeah, right? What the fuck?
People who call themselves vampires. Uh-huh. A corpse supposed to come to life at night and leave its
She's like, vampire in the dictionary, research done. Chalk it up. Time.
grave and suck the blood of
I've done my
sleeping
work.
people. If a person wants to dress in black and sleep during the daytime and
Copes?
be awake at night and walk through the graveyards
Copes?
and listen to gothic music,
Cope. Well, Cope's never listened to golf music, but it was pretty close.
and that person's not hurting anyone, including the fact that that person might want to drink someone's blood and someone is willing to give it to them, I don't see where that's harming anyone.
Can I just comment or compliment her on her dank ass shoulder pads?
I'd say the best thing about being a vampire is the taste of the blood and being with someone who trusts you and will let you drink
Pretending to be a vampire and you still get old as fuck. I've wasted my life.
their blood.
Katrina is proof that vampire practices are real and still occur today.
There are certain well-known criminals, for example, Richard Ramirez and Ted Bundy, who in reports, there were just little side notes that they did drink blood from their victims, but that was never presented as the main motivation for committing their crimes.
I would never do anything to a child or to an animal. This is something that I've only done with a consenting adult. You know, they have to be
Lady, get a life. Get a life.
willing to do this, and
Why don't you learn how to bake some cookies or fucking knit or something?
anyone that I've ever done anything like this with actually has enjoyed it.
Some vampires attempt to take blood here from the carotid artery. However, that's rather clumsy and it's also quite dangerous. So this is not really used as often as taking it from the arm.
I can use an instrument like this,
Wow!
which is a medical scalpel. It's very sharp. It can be sterilized with alcohol, so there won't be any infection, and it's painless. Blood is an acquired taste. The best place is somewhere on the arms or the hands, and I'll just, continue drinking until the wound stops bleeding. Sometimes this leads to a relationship where they say, well, that was kind of interesting. I enjoyed it. Would you like to do it again sometime?
No!
You could be attacked, mugged, robbed, shot, killed on the freeway. I mean, our life is so fraught with dangers and fears that it's a lot more satisfying to focus.
All right, lady, I'll let you suck my blood for a fucking minute. Will you just put the fucking Salisbury steak in the microwave? Fuck. That's what it's like living with that bitch. You just put fucking a hot dog on a plate and microwave it? Fuck. That's all I want.
On something scary when we know what all the rules of that scariness are.
Why does the myth of vampires still persist? Perhaps it's because we are still plagued by diseases and our lives are still precarious as they were in ancient times. But unlike the rest of us, a vampire never gets sick, never grows old, and never dies.
Coming up, they were ordinary people until they had frightening visions of real-life murders.
It was as if someone had put a picture right in front of me.
And
Man, this show sucks,
really
huh?
happened?
This show fucking sucks. I remember this show being kind of like, I mean, everyone knew it was shit, but at least somewhat interesting. This is just straight up crap.
Flight 19 over the
Show's
Bermuda
terrible.
Triangle. Startling new evidence may prove that the airmen survived.
Sightings is brought to you by Simon & Schuster Interactive's Sightings the UFO Encyclopedia, the CD-ROM that will keep you updated on alien visits and abductions in real time.
We now return to
Of course, I was like 11 years old.
A Sci-Fi Channel.
There are people who have extraordinary powers of perception and make their living as professional psychics. But tonight we'll meet ordinary people who suddenly, and for no apparent reason, have one striking
Sassy
psychic
boy,
vision.
sassy boy.
For them, that single clairvoyant moment becomes a living nightmare. August 1990.
the usually laid-back town
Gainesville.
of Gainesville, Florida, was paralyzed with fear.
Oh, look at that.
5 violent murders within 40 hours. 5 college students mutilated
Poor
in
little
their
guys.
apartments. And no arrests. 2
Yeah,
years
well, where
later,
was Hanford? When that happened, where was Hanford?
the case remains open. Over 1,000 miles away, a successful businessman who has never been to Gainesville
More like
begins
Shittings
to
is right.
experience nightmarish visions.
Well, I walked out to the barn and about 9:30
Yeah, right?
at night, and was taking care of the horses down there. And on my way back,
He was milking the horses.
from the barn, I just happened to look up into the sky, and I saw a window with a silhouette of a person in there. A few weeks went by. I had a premonition that I was going to meet this killer from Gainesville. The very next day after the premonition, I did meet a gentleman from
Flat
Gainesville.
dumpers of the 80s and 90s.
For the past year, visions of a murder have haunted a man who's never had a psychic experience. The images are so real, so frightening, that he's
I
asked to
think he did
remain
feed the
anonymous
horses a lot of
and be
pineapple.
referred to as John.
One morning, I just happened to see this vision of a dog. I seen the head of a dog on the door, and after looking at it more thoroughly, I could actually see the dog's body.
After a couple of weeks,
Whoa.
John began to see more and different images in the door. A young girl,
John's
the
been
state
having
of
some of
Florida,
that dude shit, man.
an athletic field, a deer, a sickle. The images gave John no answers, only questions.
What is the average person to do when they start having what they believe are intuitive impressions about, say, a crime, a murder, a series of murders?
The spirit who was coming to me was a girl, a young girl. And I had the feeling that this spirit was a girl about 20 or so years old. And she...
Because this guy could have just read a newspaper article and made this all up, which he
one of the
probably did.
victims.
John wanted to go to the police, but he was afraid that if he told them what he'd seen, they might make him a suspect. That is exactly what happened to California housewife Etta Smith 10 years earlier.
It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was listening to a radio broadcast while at work. And they said that they had found the lady's vehicle in Pacoima.
Oh, you think he did it?
Dead End Street. And that they were making a house-to-house search for her. And as soon as they said house-to-house search, and that thought registered, it was as
What happened is I drink a 12-pack of Paps, just stare at the door, man, and I get visions.
if someone said to me, "She's not in a house." I saw a picture.
One time my mom hit me in the head with a frying pan, and I stared at that door, and visions started popping out.
It was as if someone had put a picture right in front of me.
Etta drove to a police station and revealed her startling insight to a homicide detective.
I explained.
I went to the police station. The next thing I know, I was on an alien spaceship getting probed.
Exactly. Would be the right-hand side with a dirt path to her, a hill behind her. He suggested that I show him on a wall map where this area was, and that's when we discovered that it was Lopez Canyon.
See?
I don't think I was thinking right, but I knew I had to go see for myself. I knew the police would never tell me, and I was afraid maybe they wouldn't look.
Within minutes, Etta saw her vision become a horrifying reality.
As my eyes traveled further across the object, at the end of the object were white nurse's shoes.
On her way back down the canyon, she reported her grisly find to a ranger.
Poor little guy.
Shaken by the experience, Etta then went home. Not long after, there was a knock at her door.
She went home, and then subsequently she was brought down by the police department and arrested for the murder of this woman.
It took 9 years and a jury trial.
Oh, you mean they found her in some giant canyon? Who'd have seen that coming?
Before Etta was exonerated for doing what she thought was right. But how do you explain the source of her psychic experience? Or John's startling visions? Somehow, John had to come to terms with the gruesome visions that had been haunting him. Psychic psychologist Keith Harari accompanied him to Gainesville to help him on his journey.
Harari.
They visited the murder scenes in search of clues to the mystery.
When I was out having these visions, I would ask for something.
The sweet fucking wicker chair, dude.
That only the police would know, and that she could tell me. One of them being that what was the murder weapon used, and she gave me a vision of a sickle, and the sickle could be found in an area behind a football field. And I also envisioned a tree, and also a symbol of deer or some type of animal.
One victim attended classes at the Gainesville Teaching Zoo, where not
Hey, it was
only are
Handy's
there
mom.
deer, but a parking lot under construction on top of what used to be an athletic field.
I'm just an average person, okay, having a vision.
Well, let's be honest, a slightly below average person.
And that with that, they would look upon me as wacky.
The dead tree was the sign John was looking for. And with the supervision of Keith Harari, he began an intensive search for the murder weapon.
Things that have happened to me all pertain to this Gainesville killing, and this spirit that has come to me is
No
one of the
ghost
victims.
yet. I'm kind of
And I feel
upset.
it so strongly that I just can't let it go. I have to follow this through as she wants me to do. I feel that she wants to put an end to this and put this person in jail, and I just can't let it go like that.
Life is a mystery, and it's full of mysteries, and it's full of situations in which you don't always get closure. I mean, the healthiest thing to do in this case is to say, well, I don't know, I checked it out, I didn't find anything, go back to one's ordinary life and have a good life, open to the possibility that sometimes things happen that you can't
I found the
explain.
murder weapon I put there. I found it.
On June 9th, 1992, while this story was being shot, a new development. A man named Danny Rolling was indicted for
Rolling.
murder in the Gainesville case.
How could you?
But Danny Rolling is not the man in John's visions. John believes there's a second murderer who has not yet been caught. And in fact, the Gainesville
I know.
Police Department admits there may be a
Is that who you thought it was? An leprechaun?
case. But Danny Rolling is not the man in
Wait,
John's
wait.
visions. John believes there's a second murderer who has not yet been caught. And in fact,
Oh, it was that guy. I don't know. That guy kind of looked like that dude. He looked very similar to that cheesy ass trolling. There he is, the killer.
the Gainesville Police Department admits there may be a second murderer at large. The
Poor little
investigation
guys.
continues, and for John, so does the waking nightmare of his psychic visions.
Man, that guy went on a bitch killing spree.
Coming up next, did the Bermuda Triangle take Flight 19?
Out! Give two shits.
The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information. Tonight on Sightings was the shocking murder of a teenage girl foretold in her own mother's mystery novel.
I had more or less written
Oh, so the mom
story
killed her.
of our own true life horror story.
And psychic contact with the dead girl helped solve the crime. Then, from our
Was
UFO
Hanford.
file, bizarre men in black
I was in the murder scene. Yay.
UFO sightings.
His eyes were
I want to go.
extremely long. They literally wrapped around his temples.
Startling new evidence and exclusive videotape reveals
Maybe it was a crackhead.
behind the MIB phenomenon. And a tragic car crash left this boy in a coma until a dog brought him back to life.
He licked me, then I woke up.
Like, you say that again in English, you little shit.
At that point, it started to appear.
They had large, dark eyes, claw-like hands.
I began sensing and knowing and feeling.
I do believe in life after death. I mean, I've been there.
We have not scratched.
Psychic detectives have played an important role in the still unsolved murder of 18-year-old Caitlin Arquette. She was gunned down behind the wheel of her car in Albuquerque, New Mexico in July 1989.
You know, there was a lot of white bitches killed in those years. So these weirdos went on a white bitch killing spree.
At first, police believed Caitlin was the victim of a random act of violence. But as investigators delved into the case, they soon realized there was nothing random about this murder. Even the most seasoned detectives were stunned by the strange twists and turns in this case. Psychic detectives provided intriguing leads, and eeriest of all, what appeared to be Caitlin's own attempts to reach out from the grave with information about her murderer.
Oh.
Crucial details allegedly from beyond directly paralleled those in a murder mystery written by her own mother. Under the pen name Lois Duncan, Lois
Your
Arquette,
sister's kindergarten teacher was murdered?
whose novels are filled with intrigue and terror. But there was no greater horror for Lois than discovering an uncanny link between details of her daughter's death and one of her own novels.
I didn't put any connection together in the beginning.
I'm sorry, guys. I remember this show being better. I remember being such a fucking
It wasn't until
snore fest.
one thing after another began to occur
Dirty Black
that
Rust
I
is burning his
suddenly
yard.
realized that I had more or less written the story of our own true life.
Wait, you've heard of this bitch?
Story. And Don't Look Behind You, I based the personality of my heroine April upon Kate. April was chased by a hitman in a Camaro. That book was published in June 1989, and in July 1989,
Well, every
Kate
cheesy dude had a Camaro.
was chased down and shot to death by a trigger man in a Camaro. The most shocking thing of all to us was that when we read in the police file the Hispanic man who was arrested, his name was Mike. Everybody
Mike.
called him Vamp. And in Don't Look Behind You, the hitman who chased down April was named Mike Vamp.
Sounds
As
spooky,
police
Liberace.
probed Caitlin's brutal killing, they discovered the young woman had a secret life centered around her boyfriend.
UFOs
gang
and
member
trees.
believed to be involved
I
in
demand karate suits.
legal activities. But investigators were unable to establish a direct link between either the boyfriend or his gang and Caitlin's murder. With the police department at a dead end, in desperation, Caitlin's mother
The
turned
pacing was
to
exciting.
local psychic Betty Minch.
Betty Minge.
I rang the doorbell, and this middle-aged woman answered the door, and I looked at her. I had an instant feeling.
Hey, how you doing? I'm on in now.
I had invented her. She was physically identical to Ann Summers, the psychic detective in my book, The Third Eye.
Betty Minch considers herself a bridge between the living and the dead. Minch claims she can pick up messages telepathically while in a meditative
Loosh.
trance, channeling the words of the dead through the keys of her typewriter.
Usually I get a lot of color moving in my head. Then out of that, sometimes there will come maybe an image. And that's when the words seem to want to start pouring into my head. It was a very clear contact with Caitlin. She was right there. We had the idea that
Whoa!
Caitlin was in some kind of trouble, that there were other things going on that the family wasn't quite aware of.
Amazingly enough, it appeared that Caitlin was conducting her own murder investigation from beyond the grave. Some of the messages Betty Minch claimed to be receiving provided police with important new leads. Investigators soon received an anonymous tip from someone who'd seen one of the Crime Stoppers posters the Arquette family had placed around Albuquerque.
What do you even say about this stupid shit, you know? Like, you can't prove or disprove it. That's why I hate psychics.
Told us that
Like, if it's like they show, like, cheesy pictures, you can look at it and see how they faked it.
were arrested.
This
for
is just
driving
yapping.
A lowrider car. There would be 2 men in the front seat, 1 in the back seat. That there would be no eyewitnesses, but that arrest would be made because the men would be heard bragging. That our best help might come from somebody in the media, and she identified who that person would be, an investigative reporter named
But
Mike
rumors
Gallagher.
persist.
But there was insufficient evidence to hold the 3 suspects, and they were released. Desperate for more evidence, Lois contacted Noreen Rainier, a well-respected psychic detective from Maitland.
And a well-known crock of shit.
Working with a police sketch artist, Rainier attempted to create a drawing based on impressions she claimed to be receiving from Caitlin.
I have to get their scent. I have to pick up their vibes. And somehow something personal that was on
Watch have yourself a lucky strike, lady.
at the time of the crime gives me more information. I can pick up the scent
Let's disprove live psychics.
psychically.
During
But I mean, is that really that hard, you know?
session, Lois listened in on the phone from 900 miles away.
That'd probably be fun to watch, though, because I can't stand psychics.
In Albuquerque, knowing that Noreen was doing this. And I knew what the alleged trigger man looked like because he'd been arrested. I was trying to concentrate on Kate, and I was saying, tell Mother why you were killed. Was it a random shooting, as the police think, or was it something else? Send me a symbol, send me a message through Noreen Rainier. And the picture Noreen sent me was a sketch of Mike Vamp, the hitman.
Or a Johnson without the Cool Whip. Either she likes to smoke or a Johnson without Cool Whip.
In Don't Look Behind You, exactly as he appeared on the jacket
There he is.
of the British edition of that book. Everything was there, even the little scar between the eyebrows. It's like seeing something had been copied from the jacket. And I just started to shake. I couldn't stop shaking.
Lois was shocked. Caitlin had been the only member of the Arquette family to see the new book jacket of the British edition.
I just was very confused when she was telling me I got some man on a book jacket. I'm saying, what are you talking? But then it made sense that Kate was telling us it was a hit. It wasn't a random shooting. It was a planned killing. It wasn't random. And that's what we needed to know.
What's the point without the Cool Whip?
Is a tape recording Noreen made as she supposedly channeled Caitlin's own description of her final hours. It's Noreen's voice, but Caitlin's words.
I'm eating from a shopping center with a C in it. I went up the hill towards the north to
That BJ was epic.
up there to this, I want to call it the Desert Castle. There's just an important person there that I'm not supposed to know is there. I saw things that I shouldn't have seen. They had to make sure that there was no way I would ever talk. And this was a way.
Alright, get to the point, guys. The story isn't as exciting as you think it is.
Me was to silence me. I'll never be silenced.
See, these people didn't take into account that our attention spans would be fucking shot by 2020 something. Our attention spans would be totally gone.
I'm not a bad person. I'm just young, and I just was curious. I was a good daughter to your mother. I told you almost everything. Almost.
The incredible revelations from psychics Minch and Rainier prompted Lois to write Who Killed My Daughter?
Hanford.
And while the police have not yet solved Caitlin's homicide, Lois is encouraged by one psychic message Betty Minch believes she received.
She said that Kate was sending a symbol. That the symbol was a wolf with a collar around its neck, its head jerked back, and the message was that Kate was very sure that the wolf who had been after her was soon to be caught and collared.
The message was particularly significant to Lois, who originally entitled her book, One to the Wolves.
Oh, shit.
I couldn't explain any of this. All I could say to myself was, it's happening.
Lady, are you marketing the death of your daughter, you piece of shit? That's what I'm getting the feeling here. Oh, I knew who did it the whole time. I'm a special author. Please buy my books. I don't know. I'm getting a real dirtbaggy feeling from this.
Happening.
My daughter was killed. Please buy my stupid book where I predicted her death.
I have now come to believe
Yeah,
that
this seems
there
really
must be
scummy.
some kind of transition point where it is possible for the dead to communicate with the living, perhaps when they have a very, very strong message to get across. I think Kate was killed because she was getting ready to tell the truth, and she couldn't do it herself.
No, she was getting killed. She got killed because they wanted those butt cheeks. They wanted her butt cheeks.
Now she wanted me to do it for her.
Let's just have one on
hoping
number.
police or psychic detectives will soon find out what
She's still
horrible
selling
facts
books?
Caitlin knew.
That bitch gotta be like 80 years old now.
Who stopped her from telling the truth?
Coming up next, the frightening Men in Black phenomenon surrounding UFO contact.
I'm not afraid of them because they haven't done anything to us yet.
But what are their motives?
There have been a few cases where
Oh shit, black
individuals
helicopters.
have died under mysterious circumstances.
And later, what miraculous power brought this boy back to life? Some believe it was this dog.
Did they not read that and realize how stupid that sounded?
Brought to you by Advil.
Oh! Yeah, because you're gonna need some after this fucking stupid show.
Flakes, fever, backaches. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
The show rules.
The first time I switched pain relievers, it was from aspirin to Tylenol. Then recently, I switched again, from Tylenol acetaminophen to Advil. You see, I got these really
Hey dude, could you get out of my house? I don't care about what pain pills you use.
pounding headaches, and I found Tylenol didn't always get rid of all the pain. So I tried Advil and found that for my really tough headaches, 2 Advil works better than
Wish I
2
was
extra
drunk.
strength Tylenol tablets.
I didn't
better
drink
than
this
Tylenol
weekend, and
gel
I'm very
capsules.
bitter
For my
about
tough
it.
Headaches, Advil just works better.
And for a
Advil
cold,
and
try
ass.
Advil Cold and Sinus, advanced formula for the cold season.
Oh shit! Oh Lord!
Introducing new KFC spicy.
Oh, he loves it.
Tender and juicy. Delicious.
Ramping and dipping.
Only $1.99 a serving. Now it's your KFC.
We're getting down.
For a limited time only.
We dare you to feel more comfort this month.
You're on.
Take
Oh,
the new
shit.
improved Playtex out of its applicator and compare it to the other leading tampons.
This one's better.
And a more comfortable applicator. I'll try it.
Playtex.
Lady.
Dare to feel more
Inappropriate.
UFO insiders call them MIBs. That's an acronym for Men in Black.
Oh,
These
shit.
Men in Black are one of the least known and yet most disturbing elements of the UFO experience.
You don't know about Men in Black back then?
The phenomenon is reported worldwide, and the stories that witnesses tell are remarkably similar. Seeing a UFO can be an exhilarating experience, but for some, that excitement soon turns into desperate paranoia. After a sighting, some witnesses report that they're threatened and harassed by mysterious thugs known to UFO investigators as
Cops
MIBs.
is Cops not on anymore?
In black. Just who are these men in black? Where do they come from? And why do they seem to be tracking and spying on those who've had a close encounter?
There it was. It's a long, lit-up, cigar-shaped object heading just over the rooftop. And then it moved out of sight, and I went back home. And when I got home, my wife said, "You just got a phone call." I said, "A phone call?" And it said that if you talk to the media about this, that your daughter will die.
Immediately following a UFO sighting, strange encounters with MIBs begin.
They would walk in seemingly from nowhere, be driving a car that may be as old as 25 years. It would be
Did you ever see that stupid video of like these Men in Black dudes walking into a hotel, like a hotel lobby to talk to somebody? It's just kind of crazy because they're both like 7 feet tall, like two fucking giant dudes in hats and like suits.
without a mark on it.
Probably
The
fake, but it's still pretty
individual in several
crazy.
cases drove down to the end of the street, turned, the guy ran down after
Where do you just find 2 7-foot guys?
and they were completely gone.
Men dressed in black, driving black cars, reportedly follow and sometimes
You on your grandma's porch?
and their motives appear to be strangely sinister.
Witnesses driving home from having lunch at a restaurant have reported seeing a UFO. Before they could get home, they had cars waiting for them,
That's right.
telling them not to talk about the case. An investigator was approached by a very Saturn-looking man.
There he
Said,
is.
You know, people that for UFOs sometimes find problems. There have been a few cases where individuals have died under mysterious circumstances.
Reports of contact
Sinatra?
with MIBs seem to follow a definite pattern and occur throughout the world. One horrifying
Ethiopia.
witness was harassed by MIBs after sighting a UFO near Toronto, Canada.
And it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There was a knock on the door.
I bet you
I
had
opened
crazy
the
eyes.
door, and there was this
TV on the
very
porch, that's living.
odd-looking man standing there. He had a photograph album in his left arm, and he didn't say anything for a full minute. He was about 5'6". He was extremely thin.
5'6"?
He
They ain't no
had
Men in
a
Black.
slightly enlarged head.
They're big, tall, goofy motherfuckers.
His face was a very strange olive hue. He wore a black turtleneck. He
This
wore
lady's
black
making it up.
pants. He was dressed
Lady, you got a big fucking weird head. You got UFO eyeballs.
entirely in black. His eyes were not oriental looking. They were extremely
Lit in black.
They literally wrapped around his temples. I have never seen eyes like that. Those eyes.
You think the other Men in Black make fun of him?
They seemed to be boring into me. I felt very intruded upon on a mental level by those eyes.
The Men in Black cases, for the most part, have stirred up great amounts of paranoia. In many cases, these people have attempted to pass themselves off either as government agents or in some cases Air Force officers. At one point, the FBI was very heavily involved in tracking these cases down and attempting to arrest someone, but no one was ever caught.
Composite drawings created from witness testimony.
This show's giving me a
Researchers
brain
believe
injury.
That MIBs could be aliens who have come to Earth to silence people who know too much about UFOs.
You won't silence me, Man in Black.
In Russia, one witness reported being harassed and physically transformed by a MIB. Professor
Yeah, but that's just everybody in Russia. They just harass and beat you up for no reason.
translated the Russian newspaper story about the woman's MIB experience.
His touch was paralyzing and left effects upon the body of those who...
Little fella in black.
The daughter, she became magnetic and she would attract metals. And like her hands became sort of electric conductors. Her touch caused electric shock. This is taking place now because the article is from April of 1990.
And then later it came out that Will Smith takes it to the butt cheek.
MIB encounters are so disturbing. Investigators...
That's Will Smith.
Those who do believe their lives are in danger and claim MIB surveillance intensifies when they contact the media.
I think what has happened is they've gone to the black helicopters. So I think that the men in black have just left their black Cadillacs behind and taken up black helicopters.
These helicopters, which have been described almost as a black Huey-type Army helicopter with no numbers visible, have appeared almost silently with no helicopter noise that you associate with it.
No.
Shirley and
There's no helicopter that makes no noise.
Directors of
Get the fuck out of here.
Network, MUFON, a UFO research organization. The Coins claim that they are being tailed by this silent black helicopter devoid of the necessary FAA identification numbers. This video, shot by Shirley Coyne, is the only footage of an alleged MIB encounter.
Now, I believe they got these helicopters because they've been filmed, but, like, do you think they're following some idiot who says they saw aliens? I just don't believe it. I just don't believe these helicopters. They're weirdo government helicopters, but they're not, they just happen to see one, you know, flying somewhere.
We had a meeting.
P. Diddy got probed.
Copter met us about halfway between Flint and Flushing. And
They're not after you, dude.
To our meeting place.
I'm not afraid of them because they haven't done anything to us yet. And I feel the more vocal I am, the less.
But lady, what are they doing just hovering over your property? Just, hey, we gotta check this old bag, see what she's up to. You think they're gonna waste you're gonna waste time in a helicopter to check out, hey, we gotta see what this cheesy bitch is up to. Get out of here.
Going to do.
Is it possible that
Get in a helicopter to watch some cheesy bitch.
are harassing UFO witnesses? Or could MIBs be cleverly disguised humans trying to silence those who've had close encounters? Investigators continue to search for answers.
It's just something that there is...
Is she baking cookies? We gotta find out. Get in a helicopter.
Working on these cases and trying to use a...
No, she's not worth the fuel.
investigative formula, we try to get to the bottom of them, but sometimes there doesn't seem to be a bottom.
Coming up next,
Mr. Goat.
Do animals have miraculous healing powers?
No!
Some say a dog brought this boy out of a near-fatal coma.
He licked me.
Next thing I know, he was tracking me up the stairs.
Woke up.
We feel the best way
Now, Meth Labs, that I'd buy. Meth Labs definitely get the helicopters.
like Mercury Sable is the direct approach. Mention the car. Show the car. Mention the interior.
Look at that.
The exterior. Mention the safety features. Show the safety features. Mention Sable's commitment to
It's a new Men in Black car.
leadership. Show the car again. All this and the quality of a Mercury.
Standing there and smoking in the woods?
Nearly 7 out of 10 of us usually don't brush after lunch, especially lunches on the run. Now, chew on this. Great tasting Trident actually helps.
Vic, you gotta stay your ass out them woods.
After meals. So when you can't brush, chew on this. Trident.
For allergies that hurt, only Benadryl Allergy Sinus Headache combines maximum strength relief for sinus pain and pressure with the histamine blocker, Benadryl. Benadryl Allergy Sinus Headache from Park Davis.
So you could tell they didn't get the Men in Black story right yet. Like, they were still working on it. Because they're supposed to be really tall, pale dudes with no hair, and they got hats, and they drive cars from the 50s. And they didn't get their story right.
Targets your tummy to control you where you need it most. New
Lady.
Playtex Secrets Panty Slimmer and matching bra.
Can we go one show without hearing about your snatch? Get out of here.
Dear Big Cheese, my dream is to eat a big cheese.
You just bought it? Nice.
Little Caesar.
Wrong, kid. I'm George Barnes.
Oh, okay.
It's the
Ah, he's
Big
dead.
Cheese, 24 slices of cheese and pepperoni pizza for $8.88. Pizza.
Look out, Letterman. Move over, Leno. Say goodbye, Arsenio. Here comes the new king of late night, Lamar.
Give it up one more time for me.
And
God.
the Black People Show.
The show by, for, and about peoples of blackness.
Whatever happened to that guy? Did he die of AIDS?
In living color. Black People Show. An all-new episode Sunday.
Hollywood Pictures presents America's
shit.
#1 comedy hit, Born Yesterday.
Oh, this will be fun.
Critics are calling it a
Love that movie.
fun-filled, hilarious 10. Melanie Griffith is sensational.
She's sensational.
Her best since Working Girl. It's fun, funny, and just plain wonderful. Born Yesterday is sweet, charming, and irresistible.
You gotta see this movie.
It's the most acclaimed comedy of the year. A sheer delight from start to finish.
Hello? Am I in the room?
Born Yesterday, rated PG.
Has anyone even heard of that movie? I've never even heard of that movie.
Now playing at a theater near you.
Nature of psychic ability. In their efforts to prove
That movie sucked.
the most startling evidence has come not from human subjects, but from animals. They found
Caught
that
on fire for
family
freebies.
pets possess mystifying
You saw it in the theater.
talents, which conventional science
Was it
can't
good?
explain.
It was okay.
July 19th, 1989. I'll never forget the date.
I'll never forget that dome.
We were in a car.
You know, that lady's probably not even that old. Why did they do that with their hair? Like, as soon as they hit 30, it's like time for fucking 80-year-old grandma hair. Why did they do that? You had a couple of nice long hair gears left.
Car accident.
It's got the poof ball, the cotton ball old lady head.
Was killed in the car accident. I broke my neck,
Poor little guy.
and Neil sustained a traumatic head injury, and it put him in a coma for 3 months.
Lucky is not a word Amelia Stortz would use to describe her son Neil on that tragic night 3
It is
years
Super
ago.
Mario.
But Neil was lucky to be alive.
He had suffered a very severe brain injury,
Every day is a gift.
and he was in a very deep coma when he came to us.
Neil survived, but doctors did not know if he would ever regain consciousness.
But it's like they made themselves older before they were old. It's like,
He
man,
could have been in it forever. That would be
you know, at least wait till you're fucking almost 60 or something to get the poof ball hair.
vegetative state. And what happens in a vegetative state is that their brainstem kind of kicks in and takes over their heart and lungs and their gastrointestinal system, and their eyes are open and they have sleep-wake cycles, but they don't have the ability to follow commands and they're not aware of their environment.
In a seemingly hopeless case, where modern medicine can't provide all the answers, alternative forms of treatment may be called for. Since 1982, the Animal-Assisted Therapy Program has been providing Houston area
Those Poppums.
hospitals with
All those
animal
Poppums are dead,
companions
guys.
for patients who
Sorry.
may not be responding to more traditional methods of health care.
When patients have had brain injuries, they're
Look
often
at that little guy.
comatose, they're very disoriented, and having animals around, we know
just
from
makes no
studies,
sense.
causes people's blood pressure to lessen and they become calmer. It kind of pushes the right button, so to speak, and makes it more likely that the patient's going to wake up. There are magical and miraculous things that happen all the time that defy
The little guy just starts eating it.
medical
Just
science.
bites his head
That
off.
Animals and humans working together is very explainable. And when you see something like this, it really is kind of
Sorry,
magical.
someone had to say it.
Neil had been in a coma for 3 months, so animal-assisted therapy was one long shot his family felt was definitely worth trying.
When your child is laying there in a coma, you resort to just about anything. You know, you try anything.
With all conventional treatments exhausted, the one remaining hope was to consult a rather unique specialist by the name of Rex.
All she had to do was turn off sightings and the kid would have bounced right back. His coma would have been gone.
Rex was part of a regular visitation team as part of our
I have no
animal
idea.
therapy program, and he happened to
Those cool shorts.
get up on Neil's bed and
He's
lick his
faking.
face. And within several hours after that, Neil began to speak.
He licked me. Then I
What?
woke up.
Come again?
It's pretty amazing. But if you're going to credit anything or anybody, why not credit Rex, the Wonder Dog?
Was Neil's recovery a miracle?
No.
Or could it have been the result of a power animals possess that we do not fully understand yet?
I mean, this was a really big tragedy. You know, to have a little boy that's in a coma, and his little sister was killed, and his mother was also injured in the accident. And it was just, you know, too much for most of us to even conceive. Neil had a lot of previous experiences with animals and really loved animals, and
All right.
there's at least a hunch
All
that
right.
it was a very normalizing experience for Neil and something that he could relate to, instead of us saying, open your eyes, close your hands, you know, yelling commands at him. It was really kind of neat that an animal kind of brought him around.
Cool. Bye. There he is. He's getting down.
The extraordinary and inexplicable bond between humans and animals.
Kid's playing baseball. The kid motherfucker can hardly talk. It's just eating the bat. He's just in the dugout eating the bat. Would you stop eating the bat?
But Neil Stortz has already found his proof in a magical friend named Rex.
Rex is a hero because he woke me up.
People that first come to Subway are
Oh,
a little
shit.
surprised we don't have sandwiches ready. Just fresh bread. That's so you can see your sandwich being made and tell me if you like onions,
Oh,
tomatoes,
that's the
or
worst.
even hot peppers. I'm not a mind reader, and there's lots to choose from. If your sandwich looks as good as it tastes, that's because Subway has
It's the worst. You got to go down the line. Yeah, I want that. I want that. Can I just have like a 3?
center where experts
I don't want to talk to you, dude. I just want to pay and leave. No offense. I'm sure you're great, but I just want to pay and leave.
He calls himself an art teacher. I guess that makes me a sandwich artist.
Ask a sandwich artist.
The
to make
sandwich
you a
artist.
6-inch Tuna sub, just $1.89 for a limited time at Subway.
Discover a healthier life for your hair. Discover vibrance.
Look, she doesn't have a cotton ball head.
Your hair.
What a jam.
Vibrant
I'm getting down.
shampoos and conditioners with keratin proteins revitalize each strand with deeper shine, livelier color,
I hate going down the line telling them what you want. I hate that.
your fullness. Revitalize your hair with vibrance.
Have you tried my 2000 flush?
Yeah, but have you used 2,000 flushes, Liberace?
Chlorine Clear tablet? Its powerful chlorine formula helps bleach out stains automatically, up to 4 months.
Whoa!
2,000 flushes Chlorine Clear tablet.
Look for money
Lost
saving
Wave
coupon in
Media.
Sunday's paper.
That's not what you told me to use last time.
Last year, doctors recommended gynolotrimine more than
Hey, look, can we have one commercial break now involving snatches? Look, please. Every commercial break. Well, let's talk. Hey, let's have a little snatch segment.
For a fast cure, try gynolotrimine, the choice of more and more doctors.
Thanks for joining us. For Sightings, I'm Tim White.
Get out of here, Tim White, you little shit.
Tonight
Oh, shit.
on Sightings, reincarnation.
Yeah, where's the cigarette
Is
at?
there another life after death?
I was a crew member on the Titanic.
The latest hypnotherapy breakthroughs could
No, you weren't. No, you were not. You know, everyone who has these past life experiences, but there's always somebody at like somewhere cool, or there's someone important. No one's like, hey, I was the guy who shoveled the shit. I was shit shoveler McGurk.
make you a believer in past lives. Then, if your travel plans bring you anywhere near this highway, think again.
At that particular day, there were 15 who died.
What deadly
Yes, I'm
curse
just a floating invisible head.
haunts this stretch of road? And our ongoing hunt for proof of ghosts takes our team of investigators
Yeah,
to
never
two
dull like in real life, right? Well, I was born in the 1600s, but I didn't do much. I planted some fucking turnips. Planted some turnips, some cabbage. That's about it. And then I died. My wife was pretty cool. Other than that, not really much to talk about. Yeah, well, I was Cleopatra.
new paranormal hotspots.
Oh my God, it's going off the scale. Yeah, right. As I was coming over here, it went off the scale.
I mean, I'll play the game. I just don't like the game.
I have to say, there's something extraordinary going on here.
That's why I've only been to Subway like 2 times.
At that point, it started to appear.
They had large, dark eyes, claw-like hands.
I began sensing and knowing and feeling.
Oh,
I do believe in life after death. I mean, I've been there. We have not scratched the surface of what the mind can do.
That was Mr. Blue for you in a
connection with the unknown.
I collected Funko Pops.
During construction of a highway, the New Jersey Department of Transportation unearthed evidence of an ancient Indian settlement. Native Americans warned that anyone
just found some beer bottles
involved in paving over this sacred site would be cursed. A warning that turned out to be more than just an idle threat.
I was one of the first Sears employees. Yeah, right?
Many cultures still maintain a powerful belief that certain places on Earth are sacred and should not, must not be tampered with. Burial sites are among the most sacred of all places, and there is almost a universal belief that the dead must be left to rest in peace. If they're not, a curse may follow those who dare violate the sacred ground. Some Native American tribes follow these traditions to this day. They warn of grave consequences for those who disturb their honored dead.
Oh, you have disturbed our forest anal. This is sacred forest anal. The great eagle spirit says we must have anal in forest.
Members of the Delaware Indian Nation believe this stretch of Highway 55 near Deptford Township in New Jersey was built over an ancient Indian burial ground, prompting what has become known as the Curse of Highway 55.
Oh, shit.
To us, our ancestors are sacred. And anything...
What isn't sacred to you fucking assholes?
That pot, don't touch that. Don't eat the last Pop-Tart. It's sacred.
Now you're fucking with me.
Don't eat it. It's sacred to my people.
Connected with our ancestors. The whole area to us is sacred. And we do not defile it in any way. And we don't want anyone else to defile it. Well...
No, don't turn on the PS4 or PS Triple. It's sacred.
He just laughed at me. So I raised my hands to the heavens, and I prayed to the Great Spirit, and I prayed to my ancestors. Then all these things happened. I mean, then the winds came up and blew vehicles off the road with people, with their workers in them. And I think that at that particular day, there were 15 who died as a result of it. It was not that I wanted the people to die. It was that I wanted the site to be left alone.
In the months following the chief's curse,
you killed people.
A 34-year-old crewman was run over and
So
killed
you killed people, you fucking piece of shit.
by an asphalt roller truck. A Department of Transportation inspector died on the job site of a brain aneurysm. A sudden gust of wind blew yet another worker off a bridge.
Someone throw that guy in prison!
Leaving him paralyzed. Within 3 weeks, many more construction workers and their families seemed to fall victim to the curse. The sheer number of tragedies seemed to be more than coincidence. Workers and their families
No,
are
don't drink that last beer. It's for me. It's sacred.
still frightened to speak out publicly. The New Jersey Department of Transportation, however, denies that there was anything unusual about the deaths and injuries that have occurred. Highway 55 was already well under construction when Gloucester County historian Robert Harper first heard rumors
Those things are dangerous,
about what was
those dream
happening
catchers.
at the site.
And it seems that several of the bulldozer operators were in a Deptford tavern, and they were elusive mouths. They were boasting about how they had disturbed these Indian braves.
Denied access by the New Jersey Department of Transportation, Dr. Harper became obsessed with Highway 55. Unable to stop construction through government...
No, I can't flush the toilet, paleface. My logs are sacred.
So you're just going to let him sit there?
Yes.
Channels, Dr. Harper and the Historical Society brought their findings to Chief Wyandoga, the spiritual leader of the Eastern Delaware Nation and a direct descendant of the ancient people who lived on the site in question.
They came to me as the shaman and asked me what I could do about it. So I went to them and I talked to them, and the state archaeologist said, "Oh,
Dude, you're not an Indian. You look like fucking Clint Howard. Faking the funk. Jeezy, dude. The dude does not look like an Indian.
There's nothing here except some pieces of pottery and items of that nature.
The Department of Transportation
His real name is like it's like Leonard Rothstein.
They were surprised to find what they believe is an Indian campsite. They pulled thousands of artifacts out of the site, but deny finding
That's
evidence
Tim
of
Conway.
human remains.
It is Tim Conway. Is that Dorf? Punk rock. Is that Dorf?
Time we know what's out there.
It's fucking Dorf. Dorf does Indians.
There is something that we do miss. We do have a procedure, and it works. Construction was temporarily halted, and that site was also investigated.
Dorf does the rest.
This is one of the earliest artifacts we found. It's either a knife blade or a
it's all fake.
spear point. This dates from
Dorf on sacred ground.
roughly about 6,000 BC. The few bone pieces we did find, and I'll be glad to show them to you, are not human. They happen to be deer. So there was absolutely no evidence of cemeteries or any other type of burial.
Yeah, just like that bullshit that happened in Canada. Remember that big stink that died quick when they found out there was no actual people buried there?
Dogga doesn't agree. He believes the site is sacred, and anyone who disturbs it is cursed.
Dorf drinks Listerine.
I said, if there was a village...
I wish we could watch Dorf.
Within 100 yards in one direction or the other...
Well, you know what, dude? We'll have to watch Dorf on Odyssey. If I can find Dorf, we'll watch it.
There would have to be a burial site, because after all, they didn't have horses, they didn't have
I'll tell you what,
other...
if anyone could find Dorf, we'll watch Dorf on Odyssey on Wednesday. If anyone could find it.
Means of transportation, so they had to carry the body and bury it.
The soils are fairly acidic, and organic remains do not last very long, 200-300 years tops, before they completely disintegrate into the soil.
So I said, well, even if there's no bones left, there still was a burial site. So how do you know? I said, how do I know? I said, these are my ancestors.
Dorf does ground anal?
The bones are no longer there. The descendants are no longer there. We do not know if somebody was buried there or not.
And I said, how would you like it if I sent some of my warriors with bulldozers and bulldozed your grandparents up?
Oh, shut the fuck up, you cock. Okay, Leonard. Leonard, get the fuck out of here.
What's done has been done. And what's been done can't be undone.
Indian my ass.
Highway 55 has been completed. Whether or not it was built on sacred Delaware Indian burial ground may never be known, but there are still disturbing questions. Is there a connection between Wyandaga's curse
Well, I am 1/16th Indian.
and the documented tragedies that occurred along Highway 55? And will the curse continue to claim victims here?
Fucking Dorf.
As far as I was concerned, it wasn't a curse. It was a prayer. I prayed to the Great Spirit, and he answered me.
You know, it's funny. You look at like pictures of like Indians and like from like the late 1800s and shit. You don't see anybody You don't see anybody that looks like that anymore. I think all those dudes are dead.
Coming up next, reincarnation. Is there another life after death?
I was a crew member on the Titanic.
The latest hypnotherapy breakthroughs could make you a believer in past lives. And our ongoing ghost investigation takes us to 2 new paranormal hotspots.
You just have to say there's something extraordinary going on here.
What happens to us after we die? Many religions believe that we'll reincarnate.
There's like you see nobody that looks like that anymore.
That the soul is transferred to another body and we live
And
again.
the ones you thought looked like that, like Vic said, it's like some Italian dude. It's like some Italian dude who put red face paint on.
And now, some modern researchers believe proof of reincarnation exists. Through hypnosis, many people claim they can recall past lives.
All right. Will we find one person who's had a boring life? That's all I want. If you might have me sold. If one person just had a commoner dirt farmer life. Let's see.
I absolutely believe in reincarnation.
I was a Japanese man.
I've been a silversmith. I've been had many past lives as warriors.
I worked the
The warriors.
press, and this was in about 1780s.
I just want one dirt farmer story.
Over 3,000 people claim to have recalled past lives working with author and reincarnation teacher Betty Binder.
Reincarnation is the process
they're
by
all on
which
there.
the soul, which is our spiritual
Oh no, now I have to stream Dorf on Wednesday.
essence, at the end of a lifetime, when the body dies, leaves that lifetime, leaves that body.
Look, guys, I understand if you got other things to do on Wednesday. I understand if you want to watch Dorf.
Gets into a new body and starts a new lifetime.
Does
So if you can't make it, I totally understand.
Reincarnation exist? Under hypnosis, Betty's clients try to reach back in time to a time before they were born. They are searching their unconscious for evidence of past lives.
Oh, shit.
The technique is called regression therapy. Once hypnotized, subjects seem to relive previous incarnations, recalling historical
All right,
events.
give me one
people,
boring life
and
story.
foreign places they have no knowledge of. Subjects say their previous lives come to them like snapshots from the past.
The philosophy behind reincarnation is that the soul has chosen to get into a physical body in order to learn.
That's so dumb. Like, if you get out of this place, who's coming back? Who the fuck's coming back? If I'm out, I'm out. I ain't coming back. Reincarnation is stupid. I did my time. I'm good. I ain't coming back.
something. We are choosing to incarnate in each
You were
lifetime
dwarf in a past
because we
life.
have certain lessons to learn in each lifetime.
Regression therapists work with people who want to go back in time and explore the possibility that they've lived before. The first step involves total relaxation of mind and body.
Now take a stream of white light down through the top of your head. Let it run through your body head to toe as if you were sitting under a waterfall.
Some people try past life therapy out of curiosity. Others hope to learn if problems in this life are linked to traumatic events in a past life. One of Betty's clients sought help for his clinical depression after traditional therapy failed.
Betty and I went back.
Yeah, how you cure depression is like, hey, dude, I know you're a fucking loser on the sex offender list on this life. Hey, but did you know you were a crew member on the Titanic in a past life? What about that, huh? That's pretty interesting.
Past life when I was happy flying, which happened to be a World War II fighter pilot. So, for instance, something that gave me pain or gives me pain during this lifetime is cause for exploration of past lives. I'm in the cockpit, October 3rd, 1940. Down below us.
Of course.
Maybe 3,000 or 4,000 feet or so.
Sure, buddy.
Looks like German fighter planes. I begin firing my gun.
What an action-packed deal.
And just as I do so, I feel some sensation.
My past life was a fat guy who had a heart attack on the shitter.
Like some thudding into my plane. I am hit, but I
Cross-dressing
don't
weirdo.
feel pain. I'm just incapacitated in my plane. I can't. I've lost control of my plane. I'm at full throttle going straight into the ocean. I'm floating. In 1988, my entire world fell apart, and I went through some traditional therapy. It was at that point that I was really grasping at straws to figure out.
Yeah, but anyone who goes to a fucking local library could figure that out. You know what I mean? Like,
what I was going to do. I guess you would call it a clinical depression. And it was at the point that I started working with
like
Betty.
it's not hard to look up military records.
Incorporating this.
Anyone
this
can do
therapy,
it.
that things really began to change.
Daryl Rooney had a profound fear of drowning. Working with Betty Binder, he recalled past events that could explain his debilitating phobia.
Holding on to a railing. It's cold and wet. I'm angry and frightened because I'm stuck here. I'm looking out.
I remember my past life. I was an Indian man. I was climbing an electric pole. And then I just remember a loud flash. And then nothingness. I was an Indian man taking a selfie in front of a moving train. And next thing you know, just black. And then here I am.
into the ocean, and I know that all the lifeboats are out there. I was a crew member on the Titanic, down in the engine room. The ship is in trouble. and I don't want to die. I don't want to go down with this ship. I can remember screaming all around me, and then all of a sudden, things turning upside down, and the most disturbing thing is timber creaking and stretching and cracking in ways that it's not supposed to. Up until then, I've felt a sense of gravity, and now it's all upside down and ropes. I'm caught up in ropes. I'm being dragged under.
I remember being a fat giant woman, and I remember yelling at a man I believe was named Gene to bring me more cheese slices. Nothingness.
I can feel a rope wrapped around here, and I can see portholes of the ship. I'm being pulled under by these ropes. I'm being pulled down with the ship. And this is a really frightening thing. I watched myself tied up in the ropes go down, 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 and I can see the stern of the ship, and it disappears into this black fog water.
The Titanic sank in 1912.
I remember being a little feller in a cage, cooking to death under a super hot light bulb with no water or food. And the last thing I remember is this Sasquatch looking into my glass enclosure going, pufferth, pufferth, pufferth. And then there was nothingness.
40 years before Daryl was supposedly reborn in his present life. During
You were
regression,
created in a past
he
life?
was able to reveal the name of the sailor his soul had previously inhabited.
I just opened my mouth, and this word came out. Brooks. Brooks, my name was Brooks.
Shut up, you lying
He later got
cocksucker.
the
Do you have
crew
some
list
fucking self-respect?
and found the names on the crew list, which was...
Brooks. Yeah. Why don't you just say your last name was fucking Jones? You piece of shit. Brooks.
Astounding to me. That moment of seeing them on there just made me think, this is real.
Daryl has drowned in 3 past lives that I'm aware of, and they were all in the middle of an ocean, and they were all one after another. His death scene is a very profound one because he had not...
Come on. I was going to say you seem like a reasonably intelligent person, but then I'm looking at her dome. Maybe not.
Expected to die.
He keeps
It was
drowning.
not his intention as a soul. He was furious.
There was all of this terror and all of this emotion during the regression talking about this. And the minute that I separated,
My past life name was William Jones.
all the emotion went away. And I was at peace.
Hungry
and I was
in a past
calm.
life.
And, I felt tranquil.
When you go to most religions in the world, you'll find that reincarnation
We
is
all
something
hate
that
him.
most people have been brought up with. The Buddhists, the Hindus, a lot of others. Early Christian fathers and the early Hebrews believed in reincarnation.
The ancient belief
Yeah,
in
where does this say any of this, lady?
reincarnation is challenged by modern science. But while regression therapy may not be proof of past lives, it has been successful in helping some people deal with problems in this life.
Coming up next, our ongoing ghost research takes our team of investigators to 2 new paranormal hotspots.
Oh, finally some ghosts.
No, right as I was coming over here, it went off the scale.
And haunting phenomena. Tonight, we follow director Lloyd Auerbach as he investigates 2 reported hauntings and attempts to gather evidence that ghosts actually exist.
Ghostbusters was one of the first films that really hit the entire public consciousness.
You know Ghostbusters was a comedy, right, dude? You know that was a comedy, right? No, it was a documentary.
Comedy that was clearly not real.
Oh,
we know
clearly.
That stuff's not real, guys. We know that there's not a marshmallow man walking down Central Park West. What do you really do?
Until his death, Tony was everyone's favorite bartender at the Banta Inn near San Francisco. Locals believe his spirit haunts the restaurant still. But Tony's
Ghost
not a
of J.
frightening, malicious ghost. His trademark is mischief.
There was a fellow staring at me there. I went through the door of the kitchen, and he was gone.
I saw a figure in the mirror, and I turned to look at the floor where that person should have been standing, and there was nothing
All of
there.
a sudden, I felt this, like somebody took their finger up the back of my leg all the way up, and I turned around, there was nobody there. And it was
Oh, he was feeling her up.
Right next to me. Tipped over.
He wanted
spun
those polka dotted butt cheeks.
around 3 times. The guy then
all of
got
a sudden, the CDs started flipping by themselves. He just flipped a couple times. He loved Patsy Cline, and it would come on all the time.
Ghosts tend to react to situations as if they were people, living and breathing people. One of the reasons is they don't know they're dead. They're in total denial. We have a lot of physical things happening that seem to relate to Tony's behavior when he was alive. One of the things that Tony was apparently fond of doing was playing with the money in the cash register and stacking the change so that it was a nice orderly stacks.
Yeah, any proof? Any proof, little feller? It'd be cool if you had some proof.
Change bin. And
I don't have proof, but what I have is a lot of stories. Hey, where you going?
Here, when you just toss money in a change bin, obviously close the door, open it back and forth, it's not going to stack automatically. And yet they've been opening the drawer for a few years, and the change seems to be stacking by itself.
Yeah, maybe put a camera on
Throw
that,
it
huh?
in and turn around the next second, and it's all stacked in there on my
Maybe install some cameras.
In the search for proof, investigators test Tony's favorite table with a magnetometer. They're looking for abnormal levels of electromagnetism.
Oh my God, it's going off the scale. No, right as I was coming over here, it went off the scale. It went up to about 100.
Unlike other hauntings Lloyd Auerbach has investigated, the people here aren't frightened.
One of the bartenders told me that she had pretty much gotten a couple of guys who were very drunk out of here and come back in, and she didn't lock the door behind her, which she thought as an afterthought. It turned out to have locked itself.
And according to
Oh, yeah,
eyewitnesses,
Ghost did it. She totally didn't just unlock the thing just on routine and just forgot she did it.
Tony is not the only ghost that haunts the
There he
Bandit
is, that
Inn.
old shit!
From what I have been told, Margaret was an old regular in the 50s and 60s. She passed away. She died of a heart attack in the building.
The sister of Al Borland.
And that she absolutely loved the Bandit Inn. She like lived down here, and that she didn't want to leave either. Margaret plays. She likes levitation. She likes throwing objects.
The man came in to order a hamburger, and the bartender asked him something about how he wanted it done. And at that moment, from across the room, where there was no one sitting, an ashtray picked up off the table, flew across the room, past the guy's head, and dropped down in front of the bartender.
Even Lloyd has experienced what seems to be Margaret's temper.
The chandelier...
One time I came here and I had a couple drinks and I woke up naked behind the dumpster. Fucking ghosts. These ghosts are ruining my life.
moving by itself. And there was no way for that to have happened if the other one wasn't already moving, unless somebody rigged it, and that's the first thing we did check.
In another haunting case at the Moss Beach Distillery in California, a deluge of eyewitness reports warranted more sophisticated diagnostic tools.
Yeah, what we're installing are 3 different types of motion detectors: an infrared detector,
Oh, shit, finally!
a microwave detector, and an ultrasonic detector.
In addition to the detection devices, Auerbach has assembled a team of psychics who will attempt to make contact with the spirits here.
You may have a lot of person witnesses, but no camera
Finally, some
witnesses
proof.
to objectify the actual phenomena that's going on. Photographic evidence doesn't exist, and there are no good photographs because we're dealing with a purely mental phenomenon where the ghost is
Convenient.
now transmitting an image into your brain and bypassing the eyes altogether.
Apparently, it was built as a
Shut up,
residence to
dude.
begin with. There was a garage downstairs, and then it became a booming restaurant and a bordello, we think. There was a piano player.
You get a hot
here.
pocket and a whore. All in the same place.
Every evening, a beautiful woman wearing blue would come to listen to him play, and apparently they were having an affair. The only problem
I'll
was that
take
she was
the hot pocket horror special, please.
married, and her husband was very jealous. And one night they were all here at the same time, and a fight broke out, and they ended up on the beach, and a stabbing took place.
You
And
trust them?
apparently the lady in blue, was killed.
No, not the blue lady.
Then she came back here to haunt the place.
The blue lady is quite comfortable with us, and we're comfortable with her. We'll protect her, I think, as much as we can.
Just look up these names and find them on Facebook. Hey, idiot, remember that time you were on Sighting, stupid? Remember that time you told that bullshit story on Sightings? You'd be ashamed of yourself.
Tells a lot of pranks. I guess one that I can remember is the funniest is that a waitress in the kitchen, towards the end of the evening, got smacked in the rear end with a spatula, and there was nobody in the kitchen.
We recently installed a heating and air conditioning system, and I spent the better part of one day programming these thermostats so that they would go on precisely the time pre-designated
That's right.
and so forth. The very next day, I came into the restaurant, and every single setting and the thermostat had been
What happened
changed.
to giant
And
lighting set?
it would take at least 30 minutes.
No,
or
because you
so.
know, like, Back then, they were like, yeah, I'll just tell this bullshit story. Who the hell's going to remember, you know? This show's going to be fucking thrown in the dumpster. No one will remember like 30 years later. Hey, idiot. Remember that stupid bullshit story you told on Sightings?
Somebody to do that if you knew how to do it and if you knew how to unlock it.
Remember that time you said you were a World War II fighter pilot?
Machines will turn on all by themselves and start dumping coffee out. At one point or another, I think everyone on our wait staff has heard someone calling their name.
Would I let the old bag suck my pecker? Which one? Which old bag?
Gets bored and likes to play a couple of pranks. Let us know that she's around.
Despite their battery of detection devices and psychic input, the Blue Lady of Moss Beach did not appear during their investigation. But Lloyd Auerbach is encouraged by the data that has been collected.
There is definitely something anomalistic or psychic or whatever you want to call it going on in this place. We can go in every few months, let's say, and we can ask if anything new has happened and start really getting a fuller picture.
Don't let him live it down.
Is the Lady in Blue imaginary? Or could her failure to materialize be just one of her pranks?
I'm sure they used fake names.
I
Surely they use
believe
fake
this
names.
is happening because I take a lighthearted approach, and since most people have a sense of humor, I think most ghosts do too.
Thanks for joining us for Sightings.
Oh, you got a new suit and tie. Nice. Moving on up. Timford.
I'm Tim White. Good night.
All right, what time is it? All right, one more, and then I get the hell out of here. This show better get better. It better get better.
On Sightings, a family is terrorized by a deadly poltergeist.
Oh, shit.
I raised my arm up, and there was bites all over. And
Let's
they were
do
like
this.
biting through me.
Would you let the old bag ghost sug your pecker?
Oh, the ghost. The old bad ghost. Well, if it's a ghost, who's going to know, right?
Expert
Who's
investigation
going to know?
brings them face to face with a frightening entity.
Just don't get clingy, ghost. How dare you?
Then, a UFO encounter leaves the witnesses scarred for life.
It's a composite of many UFO cases all rolled into
Yeah,
one.
'cause I remember cool episodes where they were doing like the EVP stuff. You remember that shit where they were like recording and then like the Civil War ghosts and stuff, and maybe some cool alien shit. I forget. Like I know this is the first season, so it probably stinks. But I remember like they did a lot of cool shit.
And evidence.
Oh, remember the guy who would put the camera to the TV and like run it in a loop, and it made all these weird images.
Revealed government involvement. And did an ancient curse turn this Hawaiian paradise into hell on earth?
The people that had stayed there saw dead bodies floating in the ocean. They had terrible, terrible odors in their rooms.
We were told, don't scare away the tourists.
Oh, shit.
At that point, it started to appear.
I'm scared.
Large, dark eyes, claw-like hands.
I began sensing and knowing and
Yeah, it had cool shit.
I do believe in life after death. I mean, I've been there.
we
She's
have
been
not
there.
scratched the surface of what the mind can do.
I think we've pretty much got to the bottom of the barrel of what the mind can do. I think we're pretty much there. I don't think there's much left.
It's a connection with the unknown.
Wow!
Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. For one family in the Midwest, owning their own business was a dream come true. But now that business has become a constant source of terror. The family, who wishes to remain anonymous, believes that they're plagued by a malicious poltergeist who's out to
Fucking
destroy
poltergeist.
their dream and them.
You ruined my life, poltergeist.
It's an unlikely setting for this real-life horror story. America's heartland, where the promise of the American dream can still be realized. Clean air and water, safe neighborhoods,
Oh,
a place
that
where you
clean.
can still buy a house and start your own business. All the reasons why the King family came here to raise their children and why they want to stay. But stay...
Those righteous dudes. Look at these righteous dudes.
Why they want to stay.
It's the coolest band ever right there.
But stay means confronting an evil force that seems to have possessed the family.
One night I went to bed in the early a.m. and I woke up and my daughter, who was not quite a year old, still in diapers, she wasn't even walking. She could stand. I woke up the next morning
That body and bounce.
and I felt pressure on my jaw real hard. And when I woke up and I looked up, My baby is standing straddling my neck and has got a butcher knife shoved down my throat. Her eyes were open and she just kind of looked at me and she started...
Lady, why are you telling this fake bullshit? A baby had a butcher knife to your mouth? Fucking... It's not even approaching believable. She was a PERT plus? Nice.
Screaming like I'd woke her up, but her eyes were open.
The bizarre, violent episodes began in 1987, just after the Kings purchased this home and motel.
Yeah, right, I'm
the safe
stupid.
haven they'd sought here turned into a waking nightmare.
We could hear pounding in the walls, screaming. We heard chanting. We heard singing. Objects started flying across the room.
I'd wake up with bruises where somebody, like somebody just beat me really bad, and bite marks.
I was looking toward the hallway, and it stepped out of the wall and stood there, what seemed to me like an eternity, and I just couldn't believe it. I was like,
when the Kings first came here and saw the home.
Well, I don't think anyone ate it up because, like I said, it was on at 11 o'clock at night. It was. I remember the show at. I could be wrong because this is like I'm like 10 fucking years old or something, but it's like it started at like 9 o'clock or something, and then like the first season went by, and then it was like 11 o'clock on a Saturday. It totally got fucked off the prime time.
But in retrospect, the Kings believe there were warning signs. The $60,000 asking price.
It was prime time for like a year though, wasn't it? Like I remember it was prime time for like a year at like 9 o'clock, and then it was like shoved to at least
serious offer.
You know, you'd imagine it's probably different between affiliate to affiliate, but I remember it was like on for a year, and then it was 11 o'clock on Saturday.
Suicide in the house. The former caretakers confirmed these suspicions.
There was a lady that lived here at one time that was supposed to have committed suicide.
Really?
And the way I understand it, she was supposed to have been really mean to her father-in-law, who was an old man.
I never got any rest. Somebody was on my bed jumping continuously.
Continuously?
My bed would move. They told me the house was haunted to start out with, but I just didn't stay around because, you know, hey, something bothered you, get away from it.
After the Kings moved in, encounters with the unknown force intensified. A mysterious stain appeared above the fireplace. The spot was sandblasted.
That's the son's jerkin wall.
The stain came back. Fresh paint and new wallpaper immediately peeled off the walls.
Whoa.
And spontaneous fires kept erupting near the attic.
That's the kid. It's
We
the son.
thought somehow somebody was getting into the house, had keys or something, and for whatever reason was setting fires, trying to burn us out or
Right?
something.
No Funko Pop.
And we set the children down and talked to them. We said, lock everything up. If you
Come
see
on, not a
any
Nintendo? You motherfuckers couldn't get a Nintendo in there?
strange people or cars, come tell us. Well, I took my daughter to the bathroom, and
When did Super
she looked
Nintendo
up
come
at
out?
me with these, you know, real serious eyes and said, Mommy, she said, Daddy didn't start the first fire, and she said, the ghosts are setting the house on fire. And she meant it. I mean, you look at her eyes and just say,
91. Yeah,
what
where's the Super Nintendo, you jerks?
she was saying.
You don't love your kids
The
that
haunting
much?
has taken its toll on 6-year-old Ashley.
Poor little
It's
guy.
hard for her to talk about her experiences, even with her own father.
Maybe I can get you to talk a little bit about what went on
Put him
in
on
the
display
house or
with
something.
flashing lights.
Well, let me ask you. Huh? Don't be afraid about it.
In desperation, the Kings consulted a
I guess it's too late for the state to save that kid.
parapsychologist specializing in poltergeists.
They were having poltergeist-like activity in the house, which to me meant that things of a shadowy nature were taking place. I also felt that the children were in danger, or could be in danger. I recommended strongly that they not be brought back into the house until the place was cleared.
But with their life savings in the house, the Kings were trapped.
Their life savings?
After Dr. Moscow's visit, Doretta began to have terrifying visions of a grisly murder. Was she seeing the ghostly images of a deadly crime?
First time that this happened, I had put my daughter, who at the time was like 1.5 years old. She was a baby. Had her in the tub, and she was standing here, and I was sitting on the side of the tub, and I felt that jolt. It felt
Yeah,
just
like you guys were saying, this is how girls got attention before OnlyFans. They just made up, stupid fucking stories.
somebody was running a movie projector on a wall. It was vivid color. I started seeing, what you call the images or whatever, of a man, and the man was sitting on the side of the tub, fighting with the woman, and he killed her. And I mean, that's like
Well,
I felt her.
that was
she
rude.
released, and it was over. And then, you know, the little girl, he hit her first time with the shovel. And,
You know, Doretta, you could have slid it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're going to be on TV every day. No capacity
I
to
felt the
love.
emotion. She knew he was hurting her. And she screamed, "Mommy." And Mommy was already sliding down. And he hit the little girl. And the first time she hit the wall. So he hit her again. And then her little head. Just blood just started, you know, kind of
Look
splattered
at the tears
all
just flying
through
out of her head.
And then he drug him over there.
It got to the point and bad enough where me and Steven...
All right, who put who up? I don't know. This guy looks pretty fucking cheesy. This might be his idea, and he's dragging his wife, or it could be the wife dragging him in. I feel bad for the kids.
would even stay awake at night and just make sure we
Two
didn't
used
feel
car
anything or
salesmen,
see
his
anything
parents.
happening to Doretta, because she seemed to be at one point getting the most attention, I guess, if you want to put it that way. She was being almost like violated.
And then it moved away from me.
Someone call the cops. Did anyone call the cops on these motherfuckers?
Onto the children, and they were actually being bitten. Ashley got the worst of that. She would scream and say,
He lost his job.
make them stop.
That's a GM plan. Poor little guy.
At one time, I jumped on top of her, and I was really mad, and I told him to bite me. And I could feel her skin underneath me. I could feel it like it was depressing, and I raised my arm up, and there was bites all over. And they were like biting through me, and they weren't biting me, but they were biting her. And that was horrible because I couldn't stop them from hurting them.
Mustache
Desperate to rid their lives of this terror, they turned to world-renowned
So what I got from this is the dad is abusing the kids. The dad is abusing the wife and kids.
Psychologist Dr. William Roll for answers.
This particular home is located in a triangle of high-tension wires, leaving open the possibility that the occurrences may be related to that situation. A home like this is a kind of hatchery for ghosts, you might say, because of the electromagnetic fields.
He wants insurance money. He keeps trying to burn it.
During his
But he's so inept at everything, he can't even burn it down. Damn it, I tried like fucking 100 times.
3 prominent psychics were brought in to try and identify the source of the
And they
disturbance.
all stole the silverware. We brought in 3 psychics, and they all stole the silverware. And one stole Excite Bike for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Being poltergeist activity.
I feel there was a murder here. Possible that
Oh,
there
of
could
course.
be a body
Of
under
course.
this house, or bodies, too.
Gotta justify that paycheck.
I don't feel it's necessary to dig them up. I feel that these people can be released.
Oh, cool. So so no work has to be done. You just say things and we believe you. Okay.
Simply through understanding.
The investigation
their
proceeded.
Excite Bike.
Finally, at 4
Hey, you could have cleaned up a little bit, huh? You know, you got TV crews coming. You just gonna have them come into your house looking like that? Shithole. Welcome to my shithole.
investigation proceeded. Finally, at 4:17 a.m., a breakthrough.
Yeah, let's dig her
the
up.
The presence of an entity was strongly felt. Although our cameras couldn't pick up an image, Doretta felt
I think I might do one more out of this because I think it's a season. Is it?
made contact.
Fuck it. I don't care. My stomach's killing me. I'm just gonna. If I don't fucking watch this, I'm just gonna be sitting on the fucking my fart collector going, my stomach's killing me.
To show itself.
Any idea where he might do that?
Standing right here. You gotta work with him. I mean, this is the first time he's ever even attempted to be nice.
It's building. Right there.
Where? Can you touch where it is?
Even one of our skeptical crew members felt the
That's
presence.
after they
I
cleaned
feel
up.
it, and I see right there. Yes, right here.
Just give him some. We're negotiating here.
My hair is standing.
Oh, that shit on the floor is from the ghost.
On them. It's so strange. It's dissipated after all the
No, I'm not gassy. My fucking stomach's eating itself.
activity of the evening. Calm down. There it was.
Families who live in a home like this may experience
It goes away by
because
itself.
of the place they're at in their lives,
But I'd rather be doing something than just sitting there going,
experience events that have happened in the past in this house, in a house like this. There seems to be something.
You don't understand, Doretta. The ghost was physically grabbing my penis and putting it into this woman, this strange woman. I don't even know who she got here. Ain't that right, lady? Yeah, it was a ghost. It was moving his penis. I tried to stop, but I just couldn't fight.
Things that we call place memories. It's not only brains and minds that hold memories, but places also hold memories.
We raised the children that monsters weren't real and there wasn't ghosts and boogeymen. And we raised them to be really secure in that. And when this happened, and when it all came about, suddenly...
Yeah, it's awful.
Our beliefs...
I had pizza. I did what Pretty Good Guy did. I had pizza, and now I'm
what we taught our
fucked
children
for the
was
rest of
turned
the
upside down
night.
and shook. And they looked at us, and it was that look of, we trusted you.
Digestive
Despite
enzymes?
the work of the parapsychologists, the Kings were finally forced out by the entity. They wanted a safer home for their children, but finances have made it...
Oh, I see. You want to sell the ghost house, huh? You want to get some big money from the ghost house.
Possible for them to abandon the home they own. They've had to move back, and no one can predict what awaits
Welcome back to shithole ghost house, idiot. Your plan didn't work.
them now.
Didn't she? I was possessed.
Coming up next, a UFO...
Now, ghost, stop making my penis hard, ghost. Ghost! Ghost, stop making that neighbor lady present. Ghost. Ghost, get her face out of the pillow, ghost. Ghost, stop moving my butt cheeks closer.
encounter leaves the witnesses scarred.
I got it all on tape, Doretta.
It's a composite of many UFO cases all rolled into one with very horrifying results.
In recent years, there's been a marked increase in the number of people who claim to have had contact with alien beings. Some of them tell disturbing stories of abuse and claim to have real physical scars from the close encounters they found terrifying. When it comes to UFO encounters, Hollywood has had a field day. The movies have portrayed aliens as comical spacemen or as benevolent creatures. But the movies we love to laugh at have nothing to do with reality. Reality is a woman named Vicki Landrum.
Oh, shit.
I'd go to the grocery store.
And I'd shit my pants right in the cereal aisle.
And people would make fun of me.
Well, how could you shit your pants?
I'd try to go to church.
Poor little guy.
And the pastor asked me not to come.
look, lady. This is kind of a cool church. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look. Why don't you stay home and I'll give you a recording. I'll bring you a tape every Sunday. You're scaring people away.
And the pastor asked me not to come.
Vicki Landrum has struggled to convince the government and the public that contact with extraterrestrials has left her scarred and riddled with disease.
Well, it's not just a light in the sky.
Look, lady, no offense. This is kind of a cool dude church, you know what I mean? You don't make the cut. Look what you're wearing. You're wearing an Alf t-shirt. Where do you even get an Alf t-shirt? It's 92. Look, it's fine. Just stay home, okay? We don't need your money. We don't need anything. Just stay home.
Somebody thinks they saw something.
Hey, let's be honest. We know where you're going anyway, right?
A real serious case, you know they've seen something. It changes people's lives. They're never the same afterwards if they've had a close encounter or if they've been injured.
Houston, 1980. They were driving on a deserted road. Betty Cash, Vicki Landrum, and her 7-year-old grand...
The pastor's like, can you please open your book to Psalms something, something, something? And you just hear... Lady, you can't come here anymore. You can't come here anymore, lady. You gotta go home.
Grandson Colby. They claim to have had a UFO encounter that left more than memories burned in the minds of these 3 victims.
So I kept screaming for Betty to get back in the car. So finally she come to get back in the car, and when she caught a hold of that handle, it burned her ring into her finger.
Oh, shit.
That car was that hot.
They all had stomach aches. They all had diarrhea. They all vomited. They were all burned.
Oh, no, that's why people make fun of you.
Sores later. They all lost some hair. Mrs. Cash, most of her hair. Mrs. Landrum less, and the boy even less. But in each case, something happened that is typical of radiation exposure.
My eyes were burned so till they swelled till I couldn't hardly see. I couldn't
Can't be in church.
see how to read or watch TV or do nothing. And every time I'd get out in the sun, it'd be big blisters, and I had sores all over my arms. After this happened to me, well,
Yeah, that's what's happening. The ghost is like, motherfucker, you blaming me on your stinky ass old lady beefs? I'm gonna teach you a fucking lesson.
Couldn't work. I didn't have no friends to talk to. So it just made me like a hermit.
The Cash Landrum case, as I call it, to me is a very significant case because we have a situation where we had a very large flying machine that came over the road that actually left marks on the road, so you know where it was exactly. It left burns on the trees. It left burns on the people. It changed their physiology. It's a composite of many UFO cases all rolled into one with very horrifying results.
While campaigning for the presidency in 1976, Jimmy Carter claimed he had seen a UFO. Carter vowed to make all government materials on UFO sightings available to the public. 20 years earlier, Andy Florio, a big band musician, had an encounter with a UFO in Arizona and experienced burns similar to Vicki Landrum's. Now, he wants the government to make good on Jimmy Carter's promise.
Jimmy Carter made a commitment to the American people that he would release all UFO secrecy to the American
Jimmy Carter said a lot of things.
people if he became president, which he did not do as a citizen and so
Jimmy
forth.
Carter also said, hey, if you make me president, I'll send each and every one of you a bacon burger dog. And he never did that either.
And as a victim of a UFO, I'm madder than hell. That's all there's to it. My elbows burned me 37 years, man. It's going to burn me the rest of my life. I know it. It's burning me now.
There are many secrets in this world kept by various governments and various peoples. In this particular case, if someone would just say what happened, whether it was extraterrestrial or it was a military experiment or whatever, we would all rest easier in knowing that it's something that's known.
Although the government claims no responsibility, an Army colonel was sent to investigate Vicki Landrum's claims.
He questioned me, and I answered him, and then he told me that people had died for listening what I...
Lady, look at your dumb face. I can tell right now you're fucking lying. Look at you. What are you, fucking 90? Stop. Stop fucking lying. Ugh, Vicki.
was trying to do.
Some investigators suggest that the colonel's subtle threat was linked to helicopters Vicki saw surrounding the UFO.
The helicopters came from different directions.
I killed people for this, Vicki.
Of them that came
He was
in
talking about that rancid beef she let out on the couch. Vicki unloaded a rancid beef. You know, I've killed people for that, Vicki.
One group came from the southwest, one came in from the east, and they all converged on the same area. Several of the helicopters flew around this object like they were trying to hem it in.
The government wanted to experiment on something.
It was
and
real in my
they the
mind.
lives of people to do it.
Vicki lifted up her skirt and flashed the cans. I killed people for less.
Is not set up to explain the unexplainable. People all over this country are mysteriously injured, even killed every year. Vicki Landrum believes some of them may have met with deadly alien forces. Because she is seriously ill, Vicki won't be silenced. She speaks out in the hope that others will not suffer her terrible fate.
Yeah, but stigma on it. That's weirdo fucking fake Catholic shit.
Coming up next, was this Hawaiian paradise cursed?
We were told, don't scare away the tourists.
Or was it just local superstition?
The people that had stayed there saw dead
Oh,
bodies
shit, this is gonna be
floating in
good.
the ocean. They had terrible, terrible odors in their rooms.
So many stinky
In virtual-
people this episode.
Virtually every culture,
The government
burial
gave me
grounds
IPS.
are considered sacred. Some are said to carry a curse
Alien
for those who
bus?
dare violate them. Perhaps it was such a curse that struck the Seven Seas Hotel, a hotel built on sacred ground in Hawaii. The native peoples of Hawaii respect the awesome power and beauty of nature because they believe that the same forces that created their island paradise can also destroy them.
I was
They
doing
believe
my
the forces of
native
nature
singing.
are ruled by the gods. Break their laws,
Greg
and
Brady.
the gods will retaliate. Hawaiians believe ground that is sacred to the gods must be respected. For that reason, according to local beliefs, the Seven Seas Hotel should never have been built.
Okay,
Native Hawaiian people have a great deal of respect for what Westerners might consider superstitions.
When Hurricane
Why don't you get a real Hawaiian to talk? I don't want to hear this dork. Let's see what a real Hawaiian guy has to say.
destroyed the Seven Seas Hotel in 1982, many Hawaiians believed that it was an act of vengeance by angry gods.
Because a real Hawaiian guy would be like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Shut up. Get off my island.
In construction of the hotel, an ancient Hawaiian burial site was unearthed. Some natives believed the site would be cursed unless it was blessed by a holy man, a kahuna. But developers dismissed the practice
kahuna?
as superstition, and construction continued.
Oh, shit.
In Hawaii, there are just certain things that you
Hawaiians
have to
play
do.
this song.
When you build something, you have to have the land blessed, and according to all details, this was not blessed. When
Then you're a dago. where's the
they have to be
Hawaiian?
disposed of properly, and apparently they were not disposed of properly here, so they were asking for trouble.
Once the hotel opened, the gods seemed to make their presence known.
The people that had stayed there saw dead bodies floating in the ocean. They had terrible, terrible odors in their
They saw that old bag who got made fun of in the cereal aisle. She even showed up.
rooms. They had birds attack them in the dining room. A lot of the local people that had originally started to work there experienced many, many eerie things, and a lot of them quit working.
Me, I worked one night. I was night shift, okay? Then I was cutting my vegetables. Then I don't know from where that thing came, rainbow color, spinning like that against that icebox. So I saw the ground funny.
And she's a Jap. She's not. She's not a fucking
I said,
Hawaiian.
don't you ever bother me because I don't bother you.
Julie
All
Coe
right, Mr.
was
Miyagi.
14 when she and her mother moved into the hotel in 1977. They stayed for 6 months in room 13.
I couldn't find one Hawaiian person to do this stupid show.
Work late at night, and so I'd be home by myself doing my homework and what all. And they'd just play games with me all night long. The only way I got rid of them, an old local woman told me, she said they hate swearing. She said they absolutely hate swearing. And one night I had just had it. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't read. They were just making too much racket. They were making me very uncomfortable, and I got up on my
A lot
bed.
of big-jawed bitches on this show, huh? Look at the jaw on that bitch. Imagine trying to punch her out. It'd take all night.
And screamed every four-letter word
Ow,
I
my
could think
hand.
of in every
I've been punching this bitch in the head for hours, and she's just laughing at me.
combination I could think of. And by gosh, if they didn't settle down and leave me alone for the night.
You'd hear it like every other night.
Related.
The knife sitting in the wall. Toilets flushing. People walking on the carpet after a while, you just get used to it. We were told, don't scare away the tourists. You know, if they hear spooky noises, don't tell spooky stories. You know, make an excuse for the toilets, anything.
Don't crab walk down the stairs, please. Could you please stop crab walking down the stairs?
This was a nice hotel. Not fabulous, but a nice view.
I mean, I get it, but damn, some of these bitches got jaws on them.
So people came, but they didn't expect the spooks at night.
The hotel was plagued by disturbing events. Then, finally, Hurricane Iwa roared in and destroyed the Seven Seas Hotel. Was it simply the force of nature at work, or was it a deliberate retaliation by spiritual forces who were angered by the desecration of an ancient
Yeah, it's
burial
definitely
site?
spiritual forces.
Locals believe Hurricane Iwa was the revenge of the gods. On the very same site where the Seven Seas Hotel was destroyed, a new condominium complex has been built. But before construction started this time, the land was blessed by a kahuna. Since the blessing, there have been no further incidents. Thanks for joining us. For Sightings, I'm Tim White. Good night.
Next week on Sightings, Stonehenge, the pyramids, the Hawaiian Islands. Do these places possess natural mystical powers, or were they transformed by
one more
alien forces?
Let's do a nice even 8.
Tonight on Sightings, a grisly murder leaves a parapsychologist dead.
When they discovered the body, there were no clues.
But from beyond the grave, he helped authorities find the killer.
Oh!
Then, if you think the Bermuda Triangle is the world's only deadly vortex, think again.
Now, what you're dealing with is something that's transient. It happens suddenly, and it's gone.
We investigate the deadly force that's...
I just think they just killed us with hormones in the food. That's why you look back in the 90s, everyone's got giant fucking jaws.
Thousands in America's Great Lakes. And what psychic miracle gave this woman the incredible power to accurately predict
I gotta go after
hundreds
this
of
one.
earthquakes?
Her track record for quakes that she has reported into
Before I
me
do any more damage, I already gotta watch Dorf on Wednesday.
has been 70 or 80%.
Why did I agree to that? Fucking idiot. Oh shit!
They had large, dark eyes, claw-like hands. I began sensing and knowing and feeling. I do believe in life after death. I mean, I've been there. We have not scratched the surface of what the mind can do.
It's a connection with the unknown.
Dorf won't last that long,
psychic
alright.
Scott Rogo had a horrifying premonition. He saw a man being murdered. The terrifying vision of death haunted his dreams, and most frightening of all,
Same suit as last show. Man, they gotta fucking change the suit every show, Tim. They're treating you like shit.
was that the murder victim Scott saw was himself. Tragically, it was a premonition that came true. Scott Rogo was internationally recognized as an expert in the paranormal. He was the author
We're gonna
of
definitely get dwarfed. And that's gonna be on Odyssey because I'll get fucking in trouble because God forbid someone infringe on the great Dorf copyright.
Psychology books that ranged in
The
subject
multi-million-dollar film series.
from ghosts to premonitions. Ironically, Scott's fatal premonition about his own life would come true. On August 16th, 1990, as a peaceful San Fernando Valley, California sleeps, a grisly murder is taking place.
Grisly?
World-renowned parapsychologist Scott Rogo is stabbed to death, his throat slashed.
Oh, no.
Somebody had come to his house, possibly in the evening, and stabbed Mr.
You
Rogo.
didn't even know when he showed up?
Tragically, Scott's accurate premonition was to be his last.
When they discovered the body, there were no clues. There was the actual murder weapon found with blood, and right by the wall closest to the body, there
Was
was
a VHS copy of Dorf Goes Golfing.
some fingerprints and blood.
But that initial evidence did not lead to the killer's
Dorf
identity. Psychics felt the
I
police
always had to see Dorf. I've never seen it. I remember the dumb commercials. We got to experience
needed an
Dorf.
expert witness, testimony from the dead man himself.
I conducted
We're gonna watch
two
all the
separate
Dorf.
investigations. One was akin to a private investigation. The other was a psychic investigation.
Psychic researcher Betty Bandy asked some of the world's top psychics to try to contact Scott.
Top psychic.
And what they found would send the investigation in an important new direction. Psychic Armand Marcotte believes the murder victim told him to check the fingerprints on a glass left at the murder scene.
Whoa, good work, Columbo. Check for fingerprints. Damn, Matlock. You did it. You cracked the case.
To calm their nerves after the crime was committed. To darker the men, he went to the bathroom.
The bathroom?
And he forgot to wipe his glass, and it was left there.
I wrote a detailed report of the information given to me by the psychics.
Come on.
Because a very clear picture did emerge
Really?
from the psychic report.
They went back to the house and did a thorough search of the bathroom. And that's where they found the
So
glass
the psychic guy said check for fingerprints.
tied in the present killer that's been convicted. and put
Show,
away
man.
since then.
That's how they finally came on the path of Mr. Batista. He was
There he
convicted
is.
of second-degree murder and sentenced, I believe it was 15 years to life.
My private belief is that Scott has assisted me in collecting information.
Is it possible that Scott Rocco is trying to conduct his own murder investigation?
No, someone told the cops to check for fingerprints, which is common fucking sense.
From the grave. How else could you explain the psychic's insistence that police re-examine the fingerprints on the glass? And many believe Rocco is still trying to reach out to them because there are still many unanswered questions about the case. The most troubling, that a second murderer is still at large. Psychics won't give up until that killer is found.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that there was a second suspect.
However, at this time, we don't have any idea who it may be. We don't know
It was
race,
Hanford.
age. We have no other
Hanford was
information of this person.
fucking going across America killing everybody in 1992.
The fingerprint and blood did not match Mr. Batista, the defendant, nor Mr. Rogo.
With police at a virtual standstill, we ask psychic detective Nick Nocerino to examine the murder of Scott Rogo.
You seem to be interested in Scott Rogo, and he is the person we want to tune into, and we want to find out what happened, and if possible, give you as much information as we can.
He's going to crack the case.
Nick Nocerino has been a respected psychic investigator for 47 years.
When we let him into the bar, he stayed there and drank 15 beers and fell asleep and pissed himself. And that was the end of that.
It's a typical murder investigation by visiting the last place the victim was seen alive.
Every time I mention his name, I get lots of pain, sharp pain. I don't know whether he's having a heart attack or what's going on.
Nick's investigation also takes him to several locations frequented by Scott in the days just before his murder. Nick believes this method of investigation will stir up the tremendous psychic energy necessary
He's
to
feeling
make
it, guys.
contact with Scott Rogo.
Look at that dress. Styling.
Brings in a team of psychics to investigate the single most important location in the case, the very house in which Scott Rogo was found stabbed to death.
We hope to find out how the man died, if possible, who killed him or how many people killed him. Anything connected with the killing. There's been a killing.
Did you see that?
Each psychic surveys the house, attempting to gather psychic energy.
It's Cousin Larry.
My throat is tightening up immediately, and then it's moving down into
Larry,
the
don't be ridiculous.
chest area.
Besides the stabbing, there was an attempt to choke him. I heard gagging. There were 3 individuals besides the
No, that's the audience. That's the audience watching this show. They're gagging.
man who was hurt and all around.
This is definitely
It looked very
a house
nice.
that has had a lot of energy, and it still is filled with different energies. There's a lot of
Larry
anger
Appleton is
associated
right.
with that too, and it's a frenetic kind of energy.
The psychics then agree to break off into 2 separate groups, in 2 separate rooms, to form seance-like triads.
And I call upon the energy of Scott Rogo to assist us in any
Would you
way
please close your legs? I'm getting Vicky vibes.
he can.
There's 3 people involved. 2 came in one car. 1 came in another car.
Tell him, Larry.
They got in the house.
There were 2 people performing the majority of the
Oh,
violence.
dude, the lady in the cheesy dress definitely is a cheesy. Well, Larry's pretty cheesy too, but
In 2 separate
at least he
rooms,
dressed up.
At almost the same time, the psychics believe they have made contact with Scott Rogo, who is now conducting his own murder investigation
could you get off his
from
bed?
beyond the grave.
Their intent when they entered this home was not to kill him.
He's screaming. I can't hear what he's screaming, but I can hear him screaming.
Things just got out of hand.
One of them short,
5'6", 5'7", overweight.
kind of long way.
If you were a ghost, you wouldn't be in the same room with these dorks. You'd be like, I'm a ghost. I can go wherever I want. Why do I want to hang around these fucking cheesy bitches?
Black hair, maybe a little balding on the top.
I'm outta here.
The one who has the tattoo on his arm? Scar. It's a mark on his face.
Right below his eye.
Tiny little mustache.
See a car parked.
Bandana on the head, not a hairnet.
VWY
Bushy eyebrows.
436.
Romano's the last name.
Jesus.
Jason, James, Alexander, all those names fit the big one.
Oh shit, they're gonna solve the murder.
100 miles of here.
Oh, these are the names of the other guys.
According to the psychic team, this is the killer of Scott Rogo. Both triads, independent of each other,
Why didn't you show the
provided
picture?
the same description.
The man
They didn't show the
was
picture. Like, they showed it for like a split second.
about 5'6", 5'7", round of
Well, the jaw on that bitch, man. Look at the chin.
Hispanic, tiny little mustache, black oily wavy hair.
Oh shit.
With a bandana. Long police record. He was the one perpetrating most of the violence.
This is the man the psychics
A remote
believe
viewing
killed Scott
stream.
Rogo. He is Hispanic, about 5 foot 7 inches tall, 160 pounds in weight, and still living, they believe, in the Southern California area.
I'm seeing a room full of dragon dildos.
The sketch and description have been handed over to police.
There's a guy in a sundress with shit stains on the back, smoking a cigar and talking about horror movies.
Investigation. The product, psychics believe, of Scott Rogo's ghostly communication about the face behind the bloody handprint.
His presence to me was still very strong in that house.
It's
And
classy.
Hoping that somebody will uncover some aspect of the crime.
Police policy prohibits comment on this unsolved case, but we will follow their developments and hope
But
to
when
bring
we asked for a comment, they wouldn't stop laughing.
you an update of the Scott Rogo case in the near future.
Coming up, the Bermuda Triangle has nothing on these
come
lakes.
on.
Now,
Okay,
what you're
good.
dealing with is something that's transient. It happens suddenly.
I was scared for a
and it's
minute.
gone.
We investigate the deadly force that haunts America's Great Lakes.
The
That's
Bermuda
a good
Triangle may be the most famous vortex of mystery and death in the world, but it's not the only one. The Great Lakes Triangle, right here in the United States, has been almost as deadly. Hundreds of people have vanished in an area which many
Bermuda
believe
Triangle's
is a
stupid.
gateway to oblivion.
Like two
There is
planes crashed there, and they're like, "Oh my God, something's crazy going on there."
Force that
Something
has
crazy.
survived from folklore to scientific fact. Bizarre anomalies that rival the Bermuda Triangle. A ship, the Edmund Fitzgerald, built to withstand the most violent weather, sinks in less than a minute. A modern jet airliner crashes into Lake Michigan in clear weather. These are only two of the thousands of shipwrecks and plane crashes that have plagued the Great
That's
Lakes
because it's full of turds.
its earliest recorded history. The most dangerous zone is known as the Marsburg Vortex in Lake Ontario, but disappearances routinely occur throughout a larger area known as the Great Lakes Triangle.
There it is.
Marine insurance records show that more than 15,000 shipwrecks, plane crashes, and other mysterious catastrophes over the past 200 years have given the Great Lakes Triangle a deadly reputation.
I mean, they're not
with the
that
highest
great. You know what I mean?
concentration
They're
of
not that
unexplained
great.
accidents in the world.
With Marysburg, what you get is exactly the same type of things. You're getting down in around
Exactly.
the Bermuda Triangle, disappearing people, disappearing ships and that.
We have found that there is at least one major link between all these crashes and disappearances. The ever-present
Alcohol?
magnetic fields
The
which route the
Lakes.
Earth appear to act differently in the Great Lakes Triangle. A compass reading on one day can be totally different the next, making critical
I don't think I will.
navigational
I
systems
don't think I will be
inoperative.
playing that one.
We found even using 3 separate compasses, all the readings being
Look,
very
dude,
much
I'm
similar.
trying to beat fucking Bug Snacks, all right? Game's kicking my ass. Bug
that when
Snacks
we
is a
plotted
hard
that
fucking
on
game.
a chart, we were nowhere near. One case, we were a quarter mile on shore. Yeah, we're 5 miles physically on the boat offshore.
Peculiar magnetic forces can spell disaster for a ship or a plane.
I grew up in like Ontario region. Never heard of this. Yeah, it's almost like they're just pulling shit out of their ass, you know?
That relies on exact instrument readings. Could strange magnetic forces in the Great Lakes Triangle be enough to throw ships and planes wildly off course and into fatal situations? Some believe that's exactly what caused the 729-foot Edmund Fitzgerald to sink to the bottom of Lake Superior. This state-of-the-art vessel had 2 independent radar systems thought to be infallible, but they weren't. En route to Cleveland, Ohio, disaster struck. November 10th, 1975.
That always happens if you're going to Cleveland, Ohio.
5 p.m. The Edmund Fitzgerald is fully loaded with iron ore and leaves port. By 6 p.m., the ship is unexpectedly caught in the grips of a severe winter storm.
One ship out of 200,000 sinks. It's ghost. It's spooky ghost water. It's water made of liquid ghost.
Just after 7 p.m., the Edmund Fitzgerald, a highly sophisticated modern freighter, has disappeared, with all hands feared lost. The weather was harsh, but the Edmund Fitzgerald was designed to withstand storms like this. The beginning of the end occurred when not one, but both radar systems failed. With low visibility and no working navigational system, the ship was doomed.
I do know that they had lost their radar. And they were,
You got lost in a lake, idiot.
depending on the Anderson, which was a ship nearby in the
You
storm.
think the winter
The Anderson
storm might have had something to do with it? You don't think it was the water made of liquid ghost?
was doing their seeing for them. It was trying to get the fix on the Fitzgerald with radar and then radio to the Fitz and tell them where they were. 1 minute they had
Very
a blip
spooky.
on the radar, and the next minute the blip was gone.
There it goes, gone
They were
forever.
in communication with the Fitzgerald at 10 minutes after 7. At 20 minutes after 7, they had no sight of her.
Fancy Frank.
And given that 10-minute span and the fact that no distress
You got lost on Lake Erie?
Fitzgerald, that ship going down must have happened no more than a minute. It just dove, went down, and that was the end of it.
I think Vicky might have had something to do with this. Just saying. I think Vicky might have had a hand in this. But like they're just making up this triangle story. Why don't you say just it's a weird fucking thing? Like they were there and then they were gone, right? Like you don't have to bring stupid shit into it. What happened? No one knows what happened. Although I'm sure it's a storm, but you know, you could play it off like just something. I don't know.
In less than 1 minute, the enormous ship had disappeared.
Oh,
All
shit.
hands on board died.
Oh, Lady B.
It was a tragic testimony to the power of a deadly force still feared by all who dare venture there.
I think in a lot of people's mind, there is something missing. There's one little fact or something that went wrong or something that happened that maybe we'll never know about.
That guy's tired of eating sloppy, slimy eggs.
Something mysterious. Something unexplained.
Well, thanks for your input, dude.
United
Oh, you don't know.
389, inbound from New York to Chicago in 1965. Although flying in clear skies and calm weather, it would suffer the same fate as the Edmund Fitzgerald.
The approach was over
You
Lake
mean-
Michigan. The last,
You mean shit happens on a
altitude
giant
that they were
piece of
cleared to,
giant stretch of land, or
he was
you know, a
supposed to,
giant fucking
level
lake?
off and maintain that altitude until cleared lower was 6,000 feet.
Oh, that's the Philadelphia project or Philadelphia experiment or something like that, Liberace.
Did not level off at 6,000 feet.
The aircraft
That's another one full of fucking cheesy lying dudes.
struck the water in a descending attitude. It spread over about 1.6 miles, and it sank in about 250 feet of water. We know there was no mid-air collision. We know there was no structural failure. We know the engines were operating properly. Everything appeared to be normal up until the aircraft disappeared.
Unpredictable magnetic energies that rippled
That's
through
bad. The Philadelphia experiment or whatever the fuck it was called. There was this dude who was talking about it, and he's like, I could show you stuff in my bus. And he would bring these dudes into like this bus with like a lab in it, but he was really just taking dudes back and like molesting them. It's like this creepy guy who was just molesting dudes in his bus talking about, I could show you how the Philadelphia experiment works. And then he gets you to like to lay down in his lab and it just feels your balls up.
the entire 100,000 square mile area of the Great Lakes.
He was
may
a big
explain
creep.
What happened?
Now, what you're dealing with is something that's transient. It happens suddenly and it's gone. You haven't got any actual scientific measurements. What we know is that there's actually magnetic anomalies in the area. How they could cause these mysterious disappearances, how they could cause the sinking, no one seems to know.
Magnetic forces that can kill. Do they exist in the Great Lakes Triangle?
No.
Researchers continue
Dude,
to
it's a
study
huge fucking lake.
the bizarre quirk of
Shit
nature
happens in
that has
giant
taken
fucking
so
lakes.
many lives. In the past year alone, nearly 35 boats and planes have vanished without a trace.
Whoa. Because it's a huge
Coming
lake.
up,
Finally.
gave this woman the psychic power to accurately predict earthquakes.
Meth. Meth did it.
I just sat there and cried.
Great Paulino. Yeah, exactly.
And I spent the next 6 hours on the telephone trying to warn people.
But it's funny, like there's a video of it, like these dudes going in the bus and then they come out and their hair's all messed up and they're like, I don't think he was rogering him or anything. He was just kind of groping him.
That a major quake was going to hit Mexico.
People who have been near
Well, it's
death
very similar.
report many kinds of
All right.
paranormal experience. After a miraculous recovery, a very special few claim to have new, unexplainable psychic powers. Powers they believe were bestowed upon them through a controversial phenomenon known as soul exchange.
The soul that is in the body.
One time I dropped my Frankfurter in the living room and I couldn't find it. I got the living room triangle.
Another totally different soul comes in.
The idea of an exchange was explained to her. If she really wanted to die, that would be fine, but why should she die? Because it was a perfectly good body.
Total of 13 separate sounds that I hear all the time. When the sound changed, an earthquake would happen within 72 hours.
I think they are tuning into another dimension of
A series of liars.
that is normally closed off to us.
The concept is known as soul exchange, or as the walk-in phenomenon. In a soul exchange, one soul leaves the physical body and a new soul walks in.
Well, a walk-in is a highly
Betty
developed
White.
soul from previous lifetimes who has earned the right, if he wants to come into an
Betty White's
adult
back.
body to complete a project that he would like to do.
The walk-in or soul
triangle.
exchange occurs at a time of personal
My sock disappeared without a trace.
crisis. Individuals recount feelings of severe physical or emotional
One time I took a shit and I turned around. There was nothing in the bowl. The turlet triangle.
pain, even a death wish. After the transformation, they experience profound changes in their lives.
Oh, your turds keep disappearing.
Pills in the bottle and
Damn,
drank
you
some
beat
of the
me.
alcohol.
The headache was so bad that my insides ached.
All I said was, I want out. I want the pain to stop.
The purpose
Turn
of
off sightings. If you want the pain to stop.
soul exchange is always to have a being come into a body that is more highly evolved, and is coming here for the purpose of
Hanford would come into her body, you know what I mean?
helping the earth
Hanford,
evolve.
bullshit.
For a precious few, the supposed soul exchange triggers miraculous new and unexplainable talents. Charlotte King's experience has been remarkable.
Ghost poop indeed.
In December of '76, I overdosed on a combination of Valium and brandy. But fortunately, I guess I didn't take enough to give me a fatal overdose, but I was in a real bad
Well, you could always try again. Practice makes perfect.
state for quite a few hours. And I heard the word that the doctor had admitted me and that I would have to stay there. And I was in kind of a drugged sleep, a very drugged sleep. And a few hours later, I
He's a
all of a
rascal.
sudden became real full of energy, just a burst of energy.
Charlotte believes she left
And when I'm not on sightings, I do one day at a time cosplay.
the hospital literally a new person, one with an uncanny talent to predict
Oh.
violent seismic activity
Oh,
around
come
the world.
on.
She began to hear sounds no one else could hear.
You know, there's like 800 fucking earthquakes a day. Stupid earthquake idiots.
And had nearly unbearable pains throughout her body.
In the way that I predict the earthquakes, the way that I forecast
I take a dart and I throw it at an atlas. And I'm usually right because there's a billion earthquakes a day.
earthquakes is through the sound, and the combination of sound and pain tells me where the earthquake will take place.
But her newfound talent was emotionally painful. In 1985, she sensed a quake in Mexico City, but no one would listen.
There's like a quake every year. There's like one quake a year in Mexico City. There's always a quake in Mexico City.
At a computer company in Sacramento in 1985 in September, and I began having
Didn't they
headaches.
just have one a few years back? I'm pretty sure Mexico City had a big earthquake a year or two back.
And I went to my boss, Paul, and I said, Paul, I've got to go home. He said, why? I said, there's going to be a major earthquake. And he said, where? And I said,
Yeah,
Mexico.
It's a quake
He said, there
magnet.
better be. And I went home. And I spent the next 6 hours on the telephone trying to warn people that a major quake was going to hit Mexico. Nobody was interested. Nobody cared.
Because
And
they
I
knew it
just
was
sat
going to
there and
happen,
cried
idiot.
Because I knew people were going to die. And
Yeah.
there was nothing I could do about it.
They get earthquakes all the time. It's like L.A.
As the sounds and pain persisted, Charlotte got in touch with Christopher Dodge at the Library of Congress. He began tracking her predictions as part of Project Migraine.
It was absolutely
Project
understood
Migraine.
from the very beginning
That
that
should be the
Charlotte
name.
must
That should be
call
the name of this stream.
me up
before the earthquake, and that it must be recorded and it must be witnessed. And of course, I felt sure that those restrictions would thoroughly discourage her from undertaking to do something like that. In fact, I was hoping that it would. But
Quake 1, way better than Quake 2.
And in rapid sequence, she proceeded to predict major events.
I called Chris on the phone and said, Chris, all hell's going to break loose. I said, Mount St. Helens is going to have a major change within 72 hours. And he picked up the phone and called the Volcano Center, and they said, absolutely not, there's no activity. And the next day, Mount St. Helens went on eruption alert.
You have any proof? Because, I mean, anyone could just claim shit after the fact, you know? After the fact.
And it blew a few days later in April.
Over time, I would say that her track record for quakes that she has reported into me has been between 7 and 8 on a scale of 10, or in other words, 70 or 80%. And in some cases, with Mount St. Helens, I'd say that she has been 100% accurate.
100% predicted the recent earthquakes in Southern California, and now believes
there's an earthquake every 10 minutes in Southern California.
The big one is coming.
Guys, I bet you sometime in the near future, a city in China is going to get flooded.
There's a real possibility that there's going to be a lot more activity down there. There's just a whole different feeling to this series of earthquakes, both in northern and southern California, that have been occurring since April the 23rd.
Charlotte believes her amazing predictions are due to a soul exchange.
Yeah, right?
Skeptics
Yeah,
doubt that
predict a place where quakes usually don't happen.
Soul exchange exists, but Charlotte's 70% accuracy rate is testimony to the transformation in her life. Thanks for joining us for Sightings. I'm Tim White.
Smelling.
Good night.
On the next Sightings, has science learned how to beat death?
All right, let's see on our next Tard Bunker. What else? What do we got to look forward to?
The latest technology in cryogenics, and would you be willing to be frozen to death
No?
to extend your life? Plus, an entire town that claims to be reincarnated. All on the next Sightings.
Entire town of fucking creeps. Somewhere in the Middle East there will be a war.
Season premiere of Code 3. Be there when a daredevil stunt turns to tragedy.
Guys, I got a prediction.
And a bungee jumper's cords.
In Hammy's house, there will be bags of snacks consumed in a large quantity. It just popped in my head. All right, guys, I'm going to get the hell out of here. Until next Dart Bunker and such. Hey, I'll see you Wednesday.